Welcome back to Thinking Critical for your Comics Aficionados every single Saturday, where we had the fun, good time. We got a fantastic panel of great geeks and comic book experts. We got retailers, writers, editors. What the hell are you, Breen? Are you just a fan? You're a writer. You've written like 50,000 pages of comic book.
I'm just here.
How many pages of that comic have you written?
Oh, I don't know. They're in about 20 notebooks.
20 notebooks worth. Oh my goodness. That's a total. You got a smorgasbord of material to go through. You're never going to publish it.
No.
Why not?
It's just recreational.
Do you put
That's
it
how
online?
that's how we all start out, Breen. We all start out recreationally writing.
No, I got as far as I had an artist about 20 something years ago, but he was more interested in playing the stuff that you guys were talking about than
video
drawing.
games ruined your career.
Oh, so you
Wangs.
hired Joe
So mad?
Mad?
And
Damn it, Bree!
now he-
got it.
Now this guy does radio drama, online, and
it's about as successful as your writing, I'm assuming.
probably more so since mine's just collecting dust, kind of like I am.
I like audio dramas. They've come back in a big way. With,
He's really
the
passionate
Spotify
about
and
it.
things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's
You
lots
really
of
like
fun.
that aliens one where the lady.
Well, that one
the
was
lady in the
very
wheelchair
modern day.
was fighting the xenomorphs
Basically T. Franklin took down the xenomorphs.
with accusations of racism and threats of calling them racist.
Well, they always
Absolutely. She
attack.
was
Oh, no, I'm not getting into
getting
this.
drunk off the weed vodka. If you're drinking the weed vodka, are you getting drunk or are you getting high? A little bit of both,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah. You know,
Double
what
tap.
you're doing is you're like, oh, this shit's so good, it made me forget that the station's overrun with xenomorphs.
And my dead
so, my goodness, Doc, we got some stuff going on here. We'll
said
get to them, but we do have some special guests here. First up, we do have Eric Breen return to the channel. I know that you were very excited about this year. You know, the Cincinnati Reds look like they could make a push for the playoffs. It hasn't turned out that way. How are you faring?
Well, I'm here today to give an update on the GoFundMe I set up for Aaron to get him the money for his video game. I needed when I started, I needed $80, and now somehow I need 90.
Yeah.
That goalpost is gonna get farther than that.
That's right. People never want me to stop ragging on AEW. So
You
they're
keep
just,
putting
they're never
Danny
gonna
Garcia on TV. Ugh.
Inflation's a bitch, guys.
contribute.
My goodness, you guys are still bashing on AEW, but Breen, at least you have the Bengals coming up. You have a little bit of hope.
We'll see. Hopefully they can get by what's left of the Patriots, and then go out to Kansas City next week and hopefully get a few less procedure calls on them than Baltimore got.
That did happen a lot during that game, but how's everything going? Did you get to read Exceptional X-Men #1? I sent you a review copy.
Oh, I didn't notice.
You didn't notice it?
No, I must. I read the articles and I saw your video on it, so I feel like I did.
Oh man, you're supposed to read the whole thing. Why are we supposed to make fun of this comic book without Eric Breen being fully involved and enveloped into the story? It was a barn burner.
I'm sure it was.
I read it.
I have a few things to say.
As in, whenever you were done, you wanted to go into a barn and set it on
Burn it
fire
down.
with you still inside.
Absolutely. Is there anything you're reading right now, Breen, that's tickling your fancy you think people should be looking out for? How about that Flash Gordon, maybe?
Yeah, I'm actually reading a handful of things from Mad Cave. I really like the Flash Gordon. I like the Dick Tracy. I like the Kosher Mafia. And I think there was something else.
Did you get Prairie Gods this week?
Prairie Gods. is good.
Well, I went out there Thursday to pick up the books, and they still weren't in. So I have it on hold. Because I actually looked into that and had them pull that, and yeah. So there's actually a decent amount of stuff that I'm reading. This is nothing from the big two because I won't read DC as long as Mark Waid is employed there, and Marvel just doesn't do anything for me at this point.
No. There you go. Eric Breen is still searching for Marvel and DC to return to their former glory. you're probably gonna have to wait for a while. Who else we got? We got Uel Carter in the middle of a pennant race. The Dodgers are doing well. Hopefully, Exceptional X-Men brought some asses and put them in seats in the shop this week.
Yeah. Opposite of Breen, I didn't read any of your articles, and I didn't watch your video, but I did read Exceptional X-Men #1, so I'm ready.
Were you like handing it out to people? Be like, you need to read this.
I never do that. I've only done that for Paranoid Gardens recently and maybe Guilt Frame. So I usually don't do that unless I know somebody likes the art or an X book or things like that. It's just more, hey, this is some information for you. I don't usually push things like that.
You'll do it for Neil before Doomface, though. That's
well, that's different. And not only that, Aaron, on my YouTube show, Fantastic Comics, I put in the description the Gmail to sign up for the Neil before Doomface.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I let people. Oh yeah, and I clipped last week's show, Wes, about a minute's worth, and it's right as you're talking about that Simpsons bit, because I usually play that in my show openings anyway. So yeah, there you go. The Batman change bit.
Well, you might have done that, but Aaron, I actually put a visual display on a video pointing out the Gmail and putting people to it. So I feel like I did better than you.
I went door to door and knocked and had people sign up.
Oh, and I love the idea of Jim going, do you know that our Lord Doomface has a wonderful plan for your life?
Doomface has a plan for your life.
It is election season.
That's true. They're like, here's another political.
You say that to get political signs for Doomface would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty great. Oh man, we may have to do that next election.
Launch it on election day.
That'd be so cool.
Assuming there's still a country in 4 years, I may do that next election.
So this was a big week for Absolute Power, the big DC event that I'm basically abstaining from. But is it working out? We got Absolute Power, I think 4, as well as the Batman tie-in. I think it's the final Batman tie-in.
3 came out. We still have 4, which is the end of the month, I do believe, and then All In's going to come out right around that time also.
So are people excited? Was it flying off the shelves? Is it doing?
I actually had a customer come in just like new to the area or new to me, and he's kind of like getting back into comics, and I was like, all right, well, what's he gonna get? And he got a bunch of DC comic books. And I was like, who does that anymore?
Unless it's Green Lantern.
I mean, oh my God. When John came out, that was a deal to get people in the store. But DC really hasn't done anything like that. What I assume is the All In and the Absolute universe actually has made its way to some people's brains, the subconscious. And it's got them in the store, at least picking up a few. Absolute Power is doing okay for me. I don't overorder, but the main series has been selling well.
Did you read the Batman?
No, I only read the first issue of Absolute Power. I feel like I'm going to use this for my personal break time for most DC books. I'm really not excited about a bunch. There's a few things that are coming out. The JSA by Jeff Lemire. I mean, I know Eric's going to have to waffle on that one. He's going to have to get it. Old Timers, Jeff Lemire, JSA. It should be perfect for Breen, right?
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be reading JSA with Jeff Lemire. But this is a good time to take a break because all the main titles are tying into Absolute Power. Mm-hmm. And outside of Green Lantern, none of them are continuing their stories. They're just doing Absolute Power stuff.
Right. Yeah. I'm just not as invested in it right now, I gotta admit. There's a few DC books that I'm actually enjoying, but it's not really. I mean, Green Lantern's good, but it's not any of this tie-in stuff.
Did you read The Boy Wonder? Is that one of the ones you were enjoying?
No, it's such a beautiful book. I felt like I'm gonna wait till the end and then read it.
This week was the end. That's the final issue.
Oh, that Fit 5 was. Yeah, I had to reorder it because I sold out.
Good.
The illustrations that guy does, Jenny Baugh, I just love panel work, and he goes to town. It's a good stuff.
The one where Batman punches the villain, and it is like arms are all like vibrating because he punched him so hard, and he says, "Get away from my son." It's like a double splash page that's not a ton of detail, but it's super duper awesome. I was like, yes. I love this weird chunky Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, we're gonna get another one soon.
That's not the weird chunky Batman I want. I don't want the world's dumbest detective. But did you see what the one dude did where he had the absolute Batman logo pops out and then a cassette tape flies out and then it turns into Robin? And that's how he's going to play his Batman.
He's Shockwave.
Yes.
That's great.
Whoa. Jim, did you just say Super Sons is the most overrated comic book ever?
Yeah, I did. It is. That's stories in that book sucked. The characters were good. Kid Amazo was a twice villain in that. That shows it sucked. So there you go. Terrible. I've said it all along. I've said it to you before. That book is so overrated. Nobody, and then they kept coming back. Nobody was buying it. So there. Take that, all you jerks.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it?
Yeah. I'm telling you, go back and read that garbage. It was the character work that was great. It's stupendous. The stories were nothing. They were nothing. You tell me, did you like Cracklow? Did you like that arc? Nobody even remembers what the stories were. I actually have talked to people who like these assholes saying right now, telling me, and I said, name the arc of that they like. They can't even remember one thing. They can't remember the villains, anything that happened. Also,
I like the one where the two kids decided to team up and go fight a villain.
Yeah, that's every book. Please.
Thank you. I liked them all.
Yeah. Did you like when they had Rex Luthor or whatever the deal is? Those kids.
That's Challenge of the Super Sons. I believe.
Yeah, I'm saying that's because Super Sons got canceled, and then you had the other stuff. So they all sucked. The character work was great, unbelievable. The stories themselves sucked. There you go.
Maybe you just hate children, Jim. Could that be?
Well, I do. But I like I said, I think that the best versions of Damian and John were in that book. Great. But the stories themselves, that if it wasn't for and you saw what happened when you didn't have John and Damian. You had what we had with what's it called? Lord Zod and that stupid Sin Son. That's what you get. And then people don't like it because there's nothing there.
Well, that book isn't very good. You know which one I like? I like the one where Batman and Superman were worried because they weren't sure where Damian and John were.
Yeah, that was great.
Remember that story?
No, I'm telling you, I think that the idea of it is because of what Bendis did, people ended up getting all up in arms, and then it became this thing that you're going to get behind when the stories itself stunk.
I think Super Sons is the perfect introduction for a young boy to DC Comics today.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because they aren't over.
The funny thing is, though, I know that's the thing. I'm not a child. I'm an old man. I don't need, an introduction.
My favorite Super Sons is when
then this guy Super Mastermind, they didn't sell. They sold like crap. That's why they kept getting canceled.
They didn't sell great. That is true.
It sold terribly. He's there, but
didn't sell terribly. It was in
but sometimes the best comics don't sell well. Some of my favorite comic books are ones that weren't hits.
Hawkman is fantastic, and it sold way worse than Super Sons, but it's a better comic book.
Roger Langridge's Thor was fun.
Can we argue about Hawkman too?
You don't like Hawkman?
Hawkman, the first 12 issues was my book of the year. After that, it all fell apart. They screwed with him with everything else, but it fell apart. Yeah, it fell apart.
It doesn't get back on track.
First 12 issues, it probably should have just maybe ended. It would have been perfect.
That's what we're doing on the Comics Guild. We're going through the first 13 issues because we think the 13th one is a good standalone, and then we're dropping.
Yeah. Like I said, it was my book of the year that year. And then when I say to people, people forget when shit goes wrong and just kind of ties them together. But it was really, really good that first year.
Once the year the villain Banner shows up is when you need to check out a Hawkman.
Yeah.
Fucking Scott Snyder ruins everything.
You guys just reminded me that there was a time. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago when DC thought that Bendis was going to save them.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Michael Bendis.
I also love the idea. This is the thing where people are yelling and you're saying this. I remember a year and a half ago, whatever, when I told Wes, all of you, that Ram V Detective was going nowhere and it was going to be and everybody yelled just like they're yelling at me now. So just shut your mouth.
I didn't yell.
No one's yelled at you, Jim. I didn't even raise my voice.
Did. Where's Dylan? I need to yell at him.
He can explain this to you.
He'll explain the Super Sons to me.
the best Super Sons is whenever Damian doesn't exist and John doesn't exist either. That's the best Super Sons, when they're still inside Superman
like
and
it with
Batman's balls.
The adult versions of Damian and John come back and they visit him.
That was good, but the older versions in Tom King's backup in Wonder Woman is complete garbage. That's where, again, when I say about Super Sons being bad, when I see somebody like Tom King try to do it and fail miserably, then I do. Again, I realize that Tomasi had the characters down perfectly, but there was just not.
I
really
like
any story.
beefy fucking Damian Wayne in his 30s that looked like he hit the gym real hard.
Yeah.
Like
Is he still 5'1"?
A little taller.
Remember when that was
5'2".
when Bendis showed up? He messed up so many things, especially with John and Damian, that at one point he was having the reverse of that. Like John was mad that Damian was taller, and then Damian was eating hamburgers, and he completely ruined everything.
Oh, Damian Wayne, you can't eat all those
Oh,
hamburgers.
Damian!
Oh, look at him!
I think
Look
it was
at
a
him.
hot dog.
He's
I
gonna
think it was
do
a
it.
hot dog. It wasn't a not dog. It was a hot dog. But yeah, Bendis just ruined.
Well,
everything.
careful
Jim,
when Tom Taylor makes a character eat a hot dog. It's a whole different connotation.
I assumed you were going to be in a much better mood today, Jim, because when I went to bed, I was watching the Eagles-Packers game. The first two drives, there was a terrible interception, and then there was a fumble, and I was like, wow, the Packers are going to destroy these guys. I went to bed, I wake up, and they won, and you put their quarterback out. I was like, Jim's going to be in hog heaven here. He's going to be so happy, and you're grumpy. Were you wanting the Packers to win?
No. I was happy about the Eagles winning. I had a bit of a problem this morning that could have involved police being called. So I'm not in a very good mood. So I basically
okay?
I got in a bit of a fist fight with my neighbor, so that was fine. Though.
That's par for the course for Philly area.
And if I did have a camera, you would see like I my one eye is closed shut, but I got some good shots in.
You almost got killed by your neighbor?
Oh, he wasn't gonna kill me. I ended up where he started swinging, and I just was taking it until I wasn't. And then I wrestled him.
What
down.
were the words that led up to the guy swinging?
I think I told him he was a fucking asshole. I also said some things about his wife.
Sir, it is 10 a.m. Eastern.
It was actually, Doc, it was 7:30. And one of the things was, it was because they had the nerve. These people next door, they scream and yell all the time. They're always like throwing shit and all this stuff. And I ended up where me and my son Rafe were just, joking around, and he was like yelling, and we were saying not fighting. We were actually having some fun. And he came over, knocked on the door, and said he was going to call the police. So I ended up just getting really, really upset and started calling him out on it. And then he swung at me.
You would have called the police? Oh, give me a reason to call the police.
Really,
slap him right in the face.
Exactly. So, but it's normal stuff. This guy's a dick. He's
sounds like a Philadelphia Christmas.
Yeah, it is. It is. Adam Frey even said, "Yeah, I don't live in Kensington, so it's not as bad, but still." But
does the guy know that you were a Division I wrestler? That you could have put him on his ass and choked him out anytime you wanted?
For me to shit talk, he knows now. It's what I feel like, because I didn't have to throw a punch. But the thing is, you can tell. I can't even talk right now. My throat is all out from yelling. So yeah, it was fun.
Like he punched you in the throat.
I was not a Division I wrestler, but I've watched enough wrestling.
Yes, you watch wrestling.
That one time,
did you do the full fucking Jericho on him, where you're choking and be like, "Oh, how do you like that now, big boy?"
I was choking him.
You take him to Suplex City?
I did. He had a one-way ticket.
He should have known he was in trouble when he came over and you were wearing a cape and elf shoes.
Exactly.
He should have known he was in for a wrestling.
What are you doing, brother?
Jim.
This isn't the first time this has happened. So.
But nobody was arrested? Nobody had to go to the hospital?
What?
No. Legitimately, what will happen is that later on today or tomorrow, he will knock on the door, and then he'll ask me if I want to drink some beers with him. Is what happens, and then I tell him, "Get the
squash
fuck out."
The beef.
I actually go, "No, it's fine," and that's it. Happens all the time, and it was 7:30. He was pretty drunk, so he has problems.
You should
It's
make them
Philly.
listen to this show.
I mean, it'd be great. Yeah, really, it'd be great to like do all the things. But just about 3 days ago, he was on the porch with his wife at like 2 a.m. and she was yelling how he puts his dick in anything that moves and shit like that. So it's just the worst.
Why do I feel like Jim's life is like listening to Tracy on 30 Rock? Like Jim's gonna come on, and he's gonna be like crying about his childhood, going, "I saw a baby giving a tattoo to another baby. They were both very drunk."
Yeah, I don't know.
When he shows up at your house and says, "Hey, man, you want to drink a beer?" You grab his 6-pack, shut the door in his face, and say,
"Shut it on his face."
I do want to drink your beer,
buddy.
Appreciate it.
Drink your beer. But yeah. So. That's the fun stuff. And really, what really was the deal is if I didn't get in the fight, I think my son Rafe would have, and I didn't want him to get in a fight with him. So I kind of took one for the team. So I stepped in.
Wow, if Rafe was really your son, he would have started kicking him in the head.
Yeah, I don't want him to, do that.
He's got a life to live still.
Yeah, I don't need. Yeah, if something happened to me,
Jim doesn't want to live his life.
He grew up in Philadelphia. He's got some.
I'm ready for prison tattoos. I'll just go. I don't want him to have the problem.
I don't want to go to prison because I don't want to join the gangs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd be part of the Amish mafia in there. I'm from the area.
Exactly.
And again, I wasn't even going to mention that, but yeah, I'm in a bad mood. So screw all of you.
Well, sorry, I sussed that out, Jim. If you wanted to keep it to yourself, I didn't realize I was fishing for real information.
It got real.
Oh man!
If you end up
Jim grabbing a slice of pizza out of the garbage, like eat that motherfucker.
If you end up going to prison and joining a gang, I'll and I'm there too. I'll be your hype man. I'll be the Paul Heyman for you, like for you and the rest of the gang.
I was trying to be a manager instead, I just want to stir the shit and then get
showed up with your tennis racket like Jim Cornette.
Exactly. I'm a little bit more like that, yeah.
So, Jim, anything going on the channel that people need to know about?
No, but I should have filmed the fight. No, that would have blown up. But, actually, I'll have my best of the week video. I haven't been really doing many review videos recently.
Wait, Rafe is like 21 years old.
He's
he
21.
Didn't record it?
No, it's funny. He would have recorded. If it would have been me.
You should put it on TikTok.
Stairs, he would have. That would have been good.
It'll be
good.
Let me tell you.
You can change the channel over to Weird Science Bum Fight.
That's all it is. Because I do look like a bum. Thank you, Doug. It's just me in my shorts and a hoodie fighting this guy. Also, I do wear glasses, and he did kind of break the glasses, but I fixed them, so I'm okay.
That pisses me off when you.
What kind of tape did you use?
When I'm wearing glasses,
no,
that pisses me off. Man,
exactly. I wasn't.
That's when I go into I go crazy.
And well, what happened is I already had another broken pair, so one of the arms broke off. I used that other arm here, so I did it.
But did you use duct tape? Did you?
No. I actually have a repair kit.
He's looking like Jim's over there, looking like the fucking Hanson brothers from
right there. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I got in a fight on a freeway, and I was wearing my glasses. And when the cops came, I was like, "Oh yeah, and these are my fucking glasses." You can tell There's no way I would have started this fight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Got glasses on. They're all run over. Horrible.
Yeah. Me and Uel don't start fights. We end them. That's what we say. But no, on the channel, I'll have the best of. And I keep saying I'm going to get back to doing some more videos, but I've been running out of time and having issues and a lot of things. But I have been doing dirty songs. So that would be good. I think Breen.
Very nice. So definitely head over to Sus Records.
Sus Records.
Probably a song about Jim beating up a fucking hobo.
There might be. Hobo Fight is the next song.
So there we go. Jim is always a barrel of laughs. We've got Eric Sparrow. Can you top what Jim just gave us?
I thought hobo fights were my thing.
Yeah, you're the one that got knifed with an X-Acto knife, right?
Yeah, and that's not the first hobo I've had to fight. Like I had to put one in an anaconda vice outside of Ross. There's all kinds of things that go on in California. But
until you give a hobo the fucking GDS, you haven't done it yet.
Or a hand.
I know, right? That would have been good. The GTS is a move that I don't think you can pull off in real life. I'm gonna say that I think that one's a little bit.
I was waiting for him to pull it off in the UFC. Give a little bit of this and throw him on his shoulders, and you pop him up, knee him in the face.
That would have been great.
Fantastic.
That would have been great. I would have loved it. But
drop
By
a
the way, did
hobo
you see-
carcass to the
did-
ground.
Did you see the Bash in Berlin? You see that strap match? That was a lot of fun.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
you
great.
should watch that. That was great. And
There's
then
no
the,
peacock here. You can't get the cock in the Philippines.
well, it'll be on
I'd have to
Netflix.
get the
soon, so
WWF
you'll-
network.
Yeah.
No, it used to be on Disney, but they don't put any of their stuff on Disney anymore. I think it's until next year.
It was good. And then the KO Cody match was really good. So both were worth watching.
I don't think Cody's capable of having a good match, so I'd probably skip that one.
No, I think KO gave me
No,
good. It
it's
was a
a
good
solid
story.
one.
Mm-hmm.
It's face. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was no Swerve versus Bryan Danielson, but
Well, I'm sure athletically it probably wasn't.
yeah.
But
How many?
What's going on?
How many more concussions did Danielson pick up in that match?
he just bled. Don't worry about it. He just
Okay.
bled. You know,
You know, it's
Be
funny.
asking Jim how many more
Moxley-
concussions he's got. He can't even open his fucking eye.
Moxley bled, and he wasn't even in the match. When Jim got into the fight today, Moxley was busted open.
he takes his shower and he
Somehow I looked over, he was
starts
bleeding.
You don't
So
know
what's going on, Aaron? You making any
Oh,
appearances this week?
No. I'm tonight. I'm having dinner
Persona non
with,
grata?
Just busy. Tonight I'm actually having dinner with Eli Stone, who is the writer artist of the Tick comic. He's in town for a big Tick birthday bash next week. I'm going to that on Tuesday. So I mean, I got that on the docket. But other than that, no appearances, no invitations this week. Probably do
Did
Pop
you
by
see
Culture
Alien
Tuesday.
Romulus yet?
I have not seen Alien Romulus yet.
What was
And
the
I have
other
not
movie
seen
you wanted to
Beetlejuice
see?
yet. Beetlejuice is the other one I
Beetlejuice.
want to see. Mhm. I've not seen either of them. I just don't have time for this stuff. I don't have time, guys. I don't have time for any kind of like personal life right now. Like if I'm not working, I think there's just nothing else.
But
going
you
on.
have time to turn Duck Hunt into Darkwing Duck and print a shirt.
Well, I didn't do this. Some other genius came up with this. Probably the same guy that came up with the Soundwave Batman shooting Robin out of his chest.
That upset me. I almost quit YouTube when I saw that.
It's genius.
I should have been more
Run,
creative.
eject. It just I love it because it just underscores how dumb that big giant bat logo with the detachable bat logo is.
Aaron, you could probably find time to have a life in between matches at a WWE special event.
Yeah, so at least 15 minutes.
You do get that
On a
long
date?
block of commercials on the on the thing. But I mean, it's less exhausting than like having to sit through 17 matches where everybody slaps each other for 45 minutes.
It all depends on what you watch for.
All I could say is if you play like the premium thing so you don't get commercials, when you watch the WWF, you just get twice as many commercials. And it sucks.
I can't watch Hulu because of how long the commercials are, and they're the same. They're the same 5 commercials over and over again.
What? I guess I pay for it.
Do you guys remember when there used to be linear TV and you would have to endure commercials, and then we went to streaming and you were promised no commercials, and now you're paying for TV with commercials?
Well, you forgot a little area we call the DVR area where you could fast forward through the commercials.
Some of them, not always though, right? There
were some you could.
There were forced ones.
It
Forced
reminds me of
commercials for like the station.
Nope,
You know,
yeah. That's
I
what
don't even
happened
watch
to me last
YouTube
night.
commercials. Like when I'm watching your video, Wes, and it interrupts you with a video, and it's like you're gonna have to watch 45 seconds of this. I'm like, the hell I am, and I
That's
back
right.
out, and then
You're
I go
the
back
rule
in.
of
I
my
go back
life.
into your video, and I just pick it up where it left
You're
off.
taking food off the table of the children,
Yep.
Sparrow.
You're not getting that money. YouTube's getting that money. They're not
I
giving
get
you that.
60% of it.
Do you really?
60% of the revenue goes to the creator.
All right, I'll watch it for you.
How could you
How
do
long
that
do
to
I-
my kids?
God, now
How
he's
long
got
do I
to
have
decide
left?
which
Fuck
two
them,
does
they
he
care
care.
how better help. That's why.
Sophie's choice.
Fuck
Oh
them
my
kids.
goodness. I had to use one of my shirts as a diaper today because we couldn't afford diapers anymore. Now I know why.
Your kids soiling a Thinking Critical shirt.
You're gonna have to write
Exactly.
30 songs now.
I'm gonna have to make a dirty song channel. Oh, very good. Last but not least, Doc and I have already done our Exceptional X-Men review, although we will talk about Exceptional X-Men today. Anything else going on, Doc, people need to know about?
Oh, no, not really. Aaron, I'm gonna be out your way in about 2.5 weeks.
Is that around the 20th? Because I'm going to be in Huntington Beach.
I think week of the 23rd. coming out.
And why does it always work out that way? It always works out that I'm in Huntington when you come out.
I know, right? It's fucking weird, dude. But yeah,
you know what? When I get asked to house sit, I'm gonna know. Oh, Doc must be coming to town.
Huntington Beach is a perfectly fine place.
It is.
I can't wait because it has been so brutally hot this summer that I cannot wait to be in Huntington Beach. I love it.
Because you're like, fuck yeah, pool.
And you can go to Ventura where all the vampires are.
What?
Yeah, Tom Petty.
Lost Boys too.
Oh, that's right. All the vampires.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I was in Lompoc and we were going to Huntington Beach, someone told me watch out for the vampires in Ventura. I was like, "There's vampires here."
No, that's when you're up in Santa Clara. It's your murder capital of the world.
It is.
That's right.
People are strange.
Are you telling me there's more murders in Santa Clara than like Djibouti?
Vampire murders.
The only problem with living in Santa Clara, Wes, is all the damn vampires.
Don't get Chinese food in Santa Clara.
Could never stomach it.
But no, not really much else going on here. I don't have any fun stories. I did not get into a fight with my neighbor this morning.
Were you drunk at 7:30 in the morning?
I was not drunk at 7:30. I also don't live in Philly. I live on the proper side of the state, where you're not getting in fist fights with drunken neighbors at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. That's some Philly shit.
That is true.
Pittsburgh, we're just like we're still waking ourselves up because we're starting our fucking we're starting pre-gaming and tailgating for the Steelers tomorrow sometime around noon today.
And at Eaton Park, you don't fight.
Probably at Eaton Park, yes.
Yeah.
Or
having a smiley cookie.
AL, I watch all the commercials for you and your children, Wes. Thank you very much, AL, for looking out
good.
for AL's family.
AL's doing it, so I don't have to.
No, she's setting the example for you to follow. And AL was also lamenting the fact, Jim, that she had her fire recently, and one of the comic books she lost was Super Sons because she liked it. And the stories were good.
No, they weren't. But I like AL, so I won't say anything bad. But yeah, maybe the fire was telling her something. I don't know.
Wow.
But thank you very much, AL, for supporting the family. Jim didn't mean that. He's in a bad mood.
Now you know why you got swung at.
I woke up this morning. And I thought I was surly, and I am so cheerful in comparison to Jim that I don't even feel mad anymore. I don't even feel.
I'm still so angry.
Jim wakes up and chooses violence.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, granted, I think that's a prerequisite.
If you went and you pulled the back of, if you pulled the back of Jim's shirt right down, you'd be like, "Oh, here's the problem. He's set to violence."
I am. Switch it back.
There you go. Let's give some shout outs because we do have some new backers on Think Critical Patreon. And if you're unaware and you like what we do on YouTube, we do this, but to a much bigger degree on Patreon. It's all in podcast form, although there are extra videos out there. You get all the audios from all the YouTube videos as well, depending on the tier that you support there. And we've got podcasts with Aaron, Jim, Doc, and a lot of other great people there. But thank you very much to Justin Nava, who protects people as Mr. Magnificent, and he is the last protector of chivalry, and we need chivalry to return. Thank you very much to Jonathan Spain for returning, the sidewalk savior himself, the protector of Alleyside. And finally, thank you very much to Broken Lion, who protects the people as Roar Strike. It is the protector of the sanctuary. If you want to support me on Think Critical Patreon, not only do you get all those awesome podcasts and all that stuff, but you get a shout out, you get a superhero name, and you get something to protect. And of course, you could actually determine what that is if you decide to. So definitely consider that. There's a link in the video description. Really appreciate everybody for supporting us on Patreon. We do have a couple of super chats here. Lane Kramer, looks like Exceptional X-Men was so good, it was upgraded from Doc Review of Suffering to Comics Aficionados. Review of Megamet. Are any of you going to go to Beetlejuice 2? We already reviewed Exceptional X-Men, but we're definitely going to have to discuss it because there's stuff to discuss there. Aaron, you want to go to Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah, I want to check it out. I'm hearing like 3, like Drew gave it a 3 out of 5. Allie gave it a 3 out of 5. I've had some other people say that like they really, really liked it. So I figure it'll probably end up somewhere between a 3 and a 4 for me out of 5. I hear the beginning slow, but I hear the payoff's good, and of course Michael Keaton is brilliant, and it seems to have upset a lot of the modern audience with its misogyny and with its its humor. So that sounds like a lot of fun.
Beetlejuice. What did they expect?
I know. Do you see Grace Randolph was like, I think that, the women are preyed upon in the movie, and I'm like, are you not familiar with the character of Beetlejuice?
Yes. I mean, that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole first movie is him trying to marry an underage girl so that he can stay in this world. Like, he's a villain.
Yes.
and Tim Burton said, we're not softening Beetlejuice. He's still the same villain that he was in the first film. He's not the hero of the movie, guys.
It's not the fucking Beetlejuice cartoon.
Yeah. maybe that's what some people weren't expecting, because maybe that was their experience with Beetlejuice, which I always thought was weird. That cartoon, I always thought was a strange take on Beetlejuice after seeing the movie.
Very nice. Lade Kramer, Wes smashes the ban button on Jim. I would never smash the ban button on Jim because, he might say Super Sons is terrible when it's not. And he might give you all these hints, but once you talk to him, you'll get to the bottom of it. And you get a great story about him going to fisticuffs with his 80-year-old neighbor and walking out with a black eye.
Okay, I will come clean. The guy came out and said he loves Super Sons, so I beat the living crap out of him. That's what really happened.
He said, for my money, Super Sons is the
He's
the
like,
best
I hear you like them comic
of all
books,
time.
son. Super Sons is where it's at.
Well, no, there's no banning on here. You can do almost anything. Art
I know,
speaks
I'm
more than
still
words. Oh, yeah, exactly. Art speaks more than words. Since Breen is here, I really wanted to ask, have you read OG Prince Valiant? I really love Hal Foster's art. A lot of comic artists are inspired by him.
Very little. I haven't really had all that much access to it. I mean, when I see stuff from that era, I probably gravitate more towards stuff like Flash Gordon or Mandrake. So Prince Valiant just never really resonated with me.
It's the haircut, huh?
It is.
The bowl cut.
That little Lord Fauntleroy cut doesn't do it.
I just
for
don't
anyone.
like it. It's such nice artwork too.
Breen, don't you have a Millie the Model omnibus?
Oh, I wish.
I thought you had a lot of Millie the Model comic books. Let's not act like you were that discerning.
As soon as they come out with that, I'm taking all the money I've raised for Aaron and putting it towards that omnibus.
Negative $10?
I got a lot more to raise.
Very nice. The Calico, the guys behind, or HH and the boys over at Sigma Comics. Shout out to Think Critical. We got your back. Jim, no sweat. Remember to pre-order Calico Street Math. Almost at the goal. Support Think Critical now and always. Absolutely go out there on Kickstarter and support these guys. They're awesome. They're always making the rounds. And if everybody in comic books had as much as hustle as HH, comic books would be in a much better place, Eric.
Indeed they would. Indeed they would. You know what? I feel like Calico should have a cameo in Kneel Before Doomface. Maybe we can make that happen. It'd be kind of fun. Anything can happen in Kneel Before Doomface. So that's I think the Crow might show up.
Oh, nice.
From the movie?
Yeah.
No, from the
I heard
comic.
that was a bad movie.
No, not the new Crow. Oh, good Lord. No.
Oh.
Not that Crow in name only. Oh, this movie's so bad. I did see that. I saw that for free. I actually took time. That's the problem is when I take time, I'm like, oh, this is free. Cool. I'll go see it.
And you still
then,
felt ripped off.
Yeah. It's like, it's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. Watching that god awful movie. I don't know what they were thinking.
You went up there and you went full Karen on him. It was like, I want my money back.
Well,
Like, sir, it was free. And he was like, exactly.
They're like, hey, what if we took the story of the Crow? What if we made it more about Shelley than Eric? And what if both of them were insufferable and unlikable?
Did it?
Yeah.
That sounds par for the course for modern day Hollywood. So,
it's very much a modern day. You can tell when this movie started, and that's the funny thing is like everybody seems to be pivoting away from all of these, DEI, ESG, all this bullshit that it has failed 100% of the time. But we still got a couple of years of shit that was in the pipeline.
Production,
that, they gotta flush out. So we're not going to get anything good for a couple of years yet, at least not on a regular basis.
Other than Transformers, what is it, 1?
Transformers 1, very good reviews.
I've heard good things about Terminator Zero as well, but I mean that's
yeah. I don't have Netflix, or else I would be checking that out.
Yeah,
But
I
I've heard
tried
good things
watching
about that,
Terminator
so.
Zero, and I don't know. I found myself drifting. I went back
Maybe it's
to watching Star Trek Enterprise.
I've never watched that. It's the one Star Trek show I've never watched, aside from these Alex Kurtzman ones, which I will.
It's better than Voyager, but certainly not as good as The Next Generation or DS9. So there we go. Chuck Skills, F those YouTube ads. This is for the kids. Thank you. The kids appreciate it. Really appreciate that. Obviously, if you're fast forwarding through your YouTube ads, I completely understand. I just don't want Aaron to do it because I feel like, he knows I need that money for toys.
You give me a short ad, I'm fine. But like when you expect me to watch like
you said
45 minutes,
seconds. That feels pretty short.
45 seconds is not short. No, like when you got to watch like two people in a bathtub on a beach, and you're like, what is this? And then it's like it's a commercial because the guy's penis doesn't work. And you're just like,
why would they put that on my channel?
Because I'm here.
Because your penis doesn't work?
No, because I'm the one that made.
Like, this is a testosterone infused channel. I don't understand how that would even be for this audience.
Look, all I know is the algorithm thinks that either I'm Spanish or that I'm impotent. Either one of them, both of those are wrong.
Oh my goodness. There we go. Well, thank you very much, Chuck. The kids appreciate it. Rate that 7. Speaking of Prince Valiant, I recommend people check out the 90s animated series that aired on the Family Channel. The series is on YouTube for free.
All right. I had no idea.
Are you going to check that out? Or what's Prince Valiant? When I think of Prince Valiant, I kind of think of like the side piece to a princess.
They were the oversized comic strips. I think, did they run in newspapers? I'm assuming.
Yeah, they did. That's where I used to see them. Yeah.
Hal Foster's artwork it's sublime. I mean, it's black and white, and it's just super liney, and you're gonna dig it if you like, good artwork. But everything is written like it's a storybook, and it just kind of has an old feel that I don't think I really want to work at to read. But to see a cartoon of it, that might be cool.
Yeah, the comic strip even was a little slow. As a kid, I'd see it and kind of try to read it, and it was, I was reading.
The only thing I know of Prince Valiant is there's a joke in Spaceballs about him.
Prince Valiant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Well,
Prince Valiant.
It was Jim J. Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Spaceballs is a great
Jim
movie.
J.
We might be getting the sequel.
The sequel won't be great because it involves Josh Gad, so nothing good
true.
ever comes from.
I'm sure it'll be as good as
Josh
History
Gad.
of the World Part 2.
Oh, nobody watched that.
I won't
either,
do
right?
it. I will not do it. I can't do that one.
Part 1's so good though. It's
I
classic.
know.
I can't do part 2. It's way too long.
It's good to be the king.
I mean, since
I even like the sacrilege stuff in there. And God has sent down these 10 commandments. He drops
That's
one.
fun. That's funny. And look, that's making fun of Jewish history. And if anybody can do it, it's Mel Brooks. He can get away with it.
It was great.
That man, he's got to pass on a whole lot.
And then Moses, parts the sea because he's being robbed. His hands are in the air. That's good shit. Love that movie. Dion, fun fact: One More Day is based technically on Ghost Faust. Mephisto is a character created by Goethe, and I always had to hold my laugh during German classes here in Berlin.
Well, I mean, selling your soul to the devil is a long time trope. So I wouldn't give the writers of One More Day credit of knowing Faust.
Well, it is a Faustian deal.
It is a Faustian deal, but they may know the reference, but I don't know. Straczynski probably knows it, but Quesada, I don't give him that much credit.
Do you still hold One More Day against Marvel Comics and Joe Quesada, Aaron?
That's where I got out of Spider-Man, and I dipped back in occasionally, but I never stuck around. But yeah, that was where I was done. When they ended the marriage and they had Peter make a literal deal with the devil, I was like, it's not a hero anymore.
So Doc would say it wasn't Peter, that it was actually MJ that did it.
MJ's the one that accepted the deal.
That's fair.
Not Peter. So I always kind of like every time I'd hear people, pissing and moaning that, well, Peter made a deal with the devil. I'm like, but he didn't. Like, he just accepted it whenever MJ did accept.
He cucked out. He should have stepped in and said, absolutely not.
He bitched out to his wife because she decided to put the pants on.
Yeah, it emasculated Peter and it devalued both of their characters.
She made lousy wheat cakes.
And look, this is after us.
Those wheat cakes, I'll get you.
I don't think I've ever had a wheat cake.
Peter ate a lot of garbage because of
What do they
Uncle Ben.
have in England, Jim? You probably know this.
Weetabix?
Weetabix?
Yeah, Weetabix. My mom.
The world's worst fucking
Oh my
cracker.
God. It's a cereal that it's soggy before you even pour milk on it. That's how bad it is. It's the worst. It's so bad. It's like a bird's nest of nonsense.
Yeah,
It's
Weetabix. You
It's
should
bad.
try that out, Aaron. That'll get you close to a wheat cake.
Yeah.
You think so? I don't know. Maybe
Got to be better than reading One More Day.
So when I come to New York Comic Con, is there a good place to get wheat cakes near the Javits Center? It's got to be an East Coast thing, right?
Yeah, we are.
Jim,
We're all eating
guy.
We're all eating the wheat cakes.
Well, I mean, you guys think we have avocado on everything out here in California,
again,
and we do.
Yeah. In that first deal with Peter, and you ended up Aunt May and Uncle Ben give him wheat cakes, and then later they think he's upset and bring him crackers and milk. I'm like, this is not what a kid wants. Wheat
They're
cakes.
old.
Well, do you remember in the one of the Batman, the Nolan Batman movies? I think it's the first one. I think it's Batman Begins, where they're talking about remember how we used to steal condensed milk from Alfred? And I was like, what?
How old are you?
But also, like, what kid is like, please, can we just have some more of that sweet condensed milk?
Condensed milk's delicious. That's one of the key ingredients to fucking Hollow Hollow. What are you talking about?
As he's running, he's grabbing all sorts of candy.
I don't know any kid. Like, I don't know of any kid that even really knows what condensed milk is.
Well,
yeah.
Man, what a terrible take by Aaron. That one's
What
almost
a
up there
weird
with,
childhood
That's worse than me
experience.
saying Super Sons.
exactly. That's up there with Super Sons. Thing there. But thank you
This
very much,
condensed milk
everybody.
bit was as bad as Super Sons.
We should get to bisexual Kitty and the Exceptional X-Men. We've got her canonically confirmed to be bisexual once again. Exceptional X-Men. I don't think a lot of people had a lot of expectations for this particular book. Doc and I do an in-depth review that'll be out on Monday, so I don't want to spoil too much of what Doc had to say. But I do want to throw it over to Aaron. You are a comic book writer. You're an X-Men fan. I did subject you to this. Do you thank me for it? What were your impressions of Exceptional X-Men?
I thought it was one of the most boring comic books I've ever read. You want to talk about the problem of slice of life? I don't care about Kitty's barista adventures. Like, I've never thought to myself, if only I could read a comic book that was about being a barista. And everything in the book is so trite and set up. It's everything that we've seen a million times before. It's everywhere that a mutant goes, they run into people having a conversation about mutants and how good or how terrible they are, and then a fight breaking out, or somebody getting, bullied, a mutant getting bullied, and then there's a fight. It is just so cliche. There's nothing new that's brought to the table here. Even the Kitty's bisexuality is just so tired and played out. And, let's just ruin another character with our agenda and make them radioactive so that they're not marketable anymore. And it made me yearn for the Kitty from Excalibur, when I actually loved Kitty Pryde and I thought she was a great character. With Rachel Summers and Kitty, now 2 out of the 3 women in Excalibur are inexplicably bisexual or lesbians.
Give it time.
They've only got to go get Megan now, and she's a fairy, she's a nymph, so of course they'll play that angle, and then everybody will be statistically impossibly lesbian. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of all of this. I'm tired of them trying to cram this in. It doesn't work. Concord just failed. They leaned heavily on the LGBT thing, and it failed. A game that was a AAA game. They spent almost somewhere between $100 and $200 million on this thing, and it was dead in 2 weeks. This doesn't sell. The audience that you're trying to get with this is so small and so niche. You need to make things for that audience that are simply for that audience and stop trying to mainstream it. It's not going to work.
Other than that, how'd you like it?
I got about halfway through it, reading every single panel, and then I started skimming, and then I was just like, oh God, I can't even get through this. This is a short comic, but it's so densely boring. Is the best way.
I like at one point where the big thing that Kitty has to face is they might be running out of cocktail mixes.
Yes,
the Bloody Mary mix is running low. That's the biggest threat of
she goes out and cries and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, she has her anxiety attack, and then there's the great thing about the rats. Like, oh, that's so funny.
Rats.
Like, I was just like, this is awful. Everything about this is awful. And from this X-Men line, saying that this is worse than like NYX, it might be.
It might be.
But those hot dogs had mustard and bigotry on them.
No,
and you said you didn't read it.
I read it during the intro.
Okay, so you knew. Well, I mean, you could have guessed and you would have been right. It's a terrible book. This is a terrible X-Men relaunch. Tom Brevoort needs to be sunsetted off. He needs to be given his golden marble parachute, assuming such a thing exists, because he obviously is just, like I've said time and time again, he's just running out the clock on his career. He doesn't care. Yeah. He doesn't even really seem to like comics anymore. He doesn't seem to like being alive if you read his tweets. Why would you have a guy who can barely get up in the morning, like, try to build hype for your comic book line? Like, the guy can't even be hyped about being alive.
Yeah. Tell him there's a hat sale somewhere. He'll run off to do that.
Yeah, it's just it's just he's just a depressed Bucky's logo at this point. It's really sad to see, and I hope that like he gets some help. But it seems like all of these people just have this mind virus, and they're just miserable all the time, and they want to make everybody else miserable, and they don't care what goes into these books. You're working on these iconic characters. You're working on characters that you're standing on the shoulders of giants who created these long-lasting, I'm sorry.
The help that Tom needs. We settled this in the 90s. Dr. Kevorkian was not allowed to do his job.
Well, he can go to Canada. He can take a trip up to Canada and they'll do it for him.
I think that's only available for Canadian citizens. But regardless, we can make him feel better by just like mailing him like a pallet of cut up logs and wood. then he can sit there and like gnaw on it,
build a den.
Yeah. Put him, look, what we really need is a large body of flowing water, because people like him go, you know what, fuck that shit, that ain't allowed to keep happening, I got to do something about it, and he'll build a dam.
Yeah. We're meant to live by water. We're meant to be close to nature. It's why it is genius that someone, when they were building New York, said we should put a giant park in here or else people are going to go insane. But I don't think people are going to the park enough. And I think that, when people get into these cities, Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, you get into a city and you lose your mind because you've lost your connection to everything that's important and everything that's natural. And you just become this miserably depressed, robot that's just going through the motions. And that's everything at Marvel right now, from out of touch Dan Buckley to all I want to do is eat CB Cebulski to I wish I were dead Tom Brevoort. This is everybody who's running the ship. And then you jump over to DC and it's no better. Missing in action Marie Javins, Jim Lee, I just want to be on the red carpet and charge $35,000 for sketches. Nobody cares about these things that they're running. Fire these people, let them go, and bring in people who give a shit, people who want to restore these things to their glory. It's probably too late to get anybody back in any real numbers, but if you went through and you purged and you brought in people who are like, hey, guess what, customer base? We don't think you're Nazis. We would like to make entertainment for you that you are willing to pay for. You'll get some of them back, and then maybe word of mouth will kind of rebuild the industry, at least to a sustainable level, because right now we're not at a sustainable level. What is it down? 73% this year? Is that what West did the report on? And it's getting worse. You have even Mile High Comics has moved away from the new comic model. They don't bother with that anymore. They're just doing the old stuff. Like one of the biggest retailers out there. And by the way, a guy who is politically aligned with everything that they're putting into these comic books. But even he's like, I can't sell it.
No.
What are you doing? You need to return to the sensible middle with your entertainment. You know, you can have your personal politics. That's fine. But stop trying to force them down everybody's throat. I don't want a far left comic book industry any more than I want a far right comic book industry. I just want you to tell me some tales of goddamn heroism.
Yeah, I just want to have fun. And you go into that book and it's not fun. And even like you said, Aaron, you're completely right. When a mutant walks around in these books, they're going to bump into a million people who are just there to yell shit about mutants. There's nothing else that happens. And then with Kitty and this whole thing of her just like, oh, you know, mentioning that the date she or whatever, you don't even get that. And you don't get anything in this comic. This comic has nothing enjoyable going on at all.
And the ending is she might be late for work. That's the big
oh my God.
ending.
I hope they get the Bloody Mary mix.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Where's that second issue? I gotta know if she made it.
I said to Wes when we reviewed our little deal on our show on his Patreon, when you end up even having that girl and the bouncer's like, hey, you can't come in. I mean, you can't go in then. And then she attacks him and, oh my God, this guy, he's just doing his damn job. It just, nothing works out. Everything is just misery. And that we come out of Krakow where everybody was a murderous jerk. Then we come now, they got rid of some of the murder. They're still jerks. And that's all it is.
And the thing that I absolutely, the problem is that all these people that are writing these things are, this generation of narcissist writers that's come into Marvel, because, they're like, okay, well, if I were a mutant, how would I be? And that's how they write it. And of course, everybody they run into is talking about mutants because they're such narcissists. They think that everything is always about them. When in fact, the hard truth about life is there's not really that much oppression out there because most people don't give a shit about you enough to oppress you. They're too busy with their own stuff. Yeah, they don't have time for you. They're not even thinking about you. And I know that makes you feel bad as a narcissist that you're not the center of attention for everybody all the time, that you're not the center of the universe, that you're not the hero of this world story. But it's not. It's literally not about you. The only thing that's about you is your own small, mostly insignificant life. And that goes for all of us.
You need to tell
nobody's getting in our way.
You need to tell me that you guys weren't just enthralled by watching this weirdo new character go through every single panel was a different emotion while in that car.
I hated that character so much. Like I hate it. Like I was like, what is this? Like, am I supposed to like get behind this? And am I supposed to care about like when she gets her grandmother? I wish her grandma would slap some sense into her. Don't validate
Jim was her
her.
Grandma.
She's an asshole. Yeah, if Jim was her grandma, he would have. That's right. He would have ground and pounded her and taught her a little.
Why was she being chased? I can't I mean, I know that the mutant power kicked in and muty, all that other stuff, but why was she like not allowed in the club in the first place?
Because she wasn't on the list.
And this is the thing. The weird thing about it.
I didn't even realize.
The weird thing, it almost made it like E-viewing wanted to make it seem like she wasn't allowed in because she was a mutant, but her story didn't show that it was that she activated after that, so it made no sense.
I know why.
There was no real big idea. Well, she was dressed crazy, maybe.
So was everyone else.
I know everybody was.
Here's the thing. I know why, and it's going to be the big reveal in probably issue 2 or 3. It's because that character's trans. Guarantee it.
Certainly drawn that way. Certainly drawn to be.
I don't want to spoil too much of my review.
You just did it. Thanks.
No. I called dude. I called that when we reviewed the preview issue. I'm like, that's a dude. That's a dude. It's very clearly a dude.
By the way, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but most of these titles are already canceled. They'll be gone by 10.
Yeah,
they're already canceled. It's just, and the only reason they're making it to 10 is because it would be embarrassing for them not to go that far.
Shit, this
but
is
NYX will be done at 10.
Rosenberg all over again.
Yeah, it's just and then they'll replace it. But that's why you're getting the Psylocke series. That's why you're getting all these things, because there's just always going to be a launch of some other title to make up for the one they're canceling, so they can keep that line wide. But they're going to hit diminishing returns very quickly. My heart goes out to you as a retailer that you have to try to make a living with this crap. I wish that they would give you something good that you could actually, that people were actually excited about and would be like, yes, I would like to add that to my pull list, please.
Yeah. Well, The X titles have been doing okay for me, but I didn't expect a lot from this title. I don't expect a lot from NYX. I don't expect all of them to do very well. The main ones have been doing okay, which is Uncanny, one issue, and then the X-Men issues have been doing well for me. X-Factor did well, and X-Force did well. So I had to buy some of the second prints. I think people that like Sensational She-Hulk will definitely like this book, at least this issue.
You mean the
Well, you know
person that likes except
what your sales tell me is that nobody's reading them. Like if X Factor did well, then nobody, and if X Factor does well, then nobody read it.
I ordered heavier than probably a lot of other small stores on X Factor, and it did really well for me. And I expected it to do well.
Well, it's got a marquee title, you know, and the art looks good, and people see Havoc, and they're like, "Oh, Havoc and X Factor, I like that."
Well, you know, it really reminds me. See, the thing is with this whole X-Men run, and I know Doc has said this, and I'm sure Wes has stated this also, is that it feels like, well, actually, no, I'm putting my own in. It feels like the New 52 is what it feels like. We had all this shit going on here, and we want to do this, but we can't ignore what happened beforehand, so we're going to have our cake and eat it too. And they're putting out these X books. Well, you know, all that stuff happened, and it's kind of driving the distrust between mutants and humans. And okay, I can see that. That's an understand. I mean, they're like, it's like if someone from an opposing war side were to now be integrated into our society again. That wouldn't be cool. I don't think that. But you know, that's kind of what they're going with, and I think it's doing okay. But this book is, I don't know. I mean, I agree. These are all, I mean, for the most part, DOA. All comics these days are DOA. You know, really. How long? Well, how long till we get a new #1 of Doomface?
Here's the thing.
There will never be a new #1 of Doomface. It will be. It will be
a 0 issue instead.
It will be ongoing. No, we're going to build
#1.
It's going to be book 1, book 2, book 3. I'm not saying there wouldn't be a Christmas special, you know, or an annual.
Exactly.
There is always potential for that, but no, it'll be book 1, book 2, because it is a. There are individual plots that wrap up, but it is a. I enjoy long form storytelling, and unfortunately, you can't do that in the mainstream anymore. Even Silvani and my Darkwing Duck run, we had like long form threads in there that we were playing with that we never got to resolve because that's just not the market anymore. And we didn't get canceled for bad sales. We got canceled because the company was too small and they thought a Pirates of the Caribbean book would outsell us. So they put us on hiatus to do the Pirates book, and it sold terribly. And then, you know, that was pretty much the end of the company shortly thereafter. It's a shame because that Pirates book was great, but no, like this. My question is, when are they going to start doing the publishing correctly on these? And what I mean by that is, instead of starting them at issue 1, do them as a countdown book, because we all know that they're already canceled. So it started issue 6 and then number them backwards.
We're going to have negative issue comic books. These are going to
no,
be
we won't. They will never get extended.
2 more issues,
they will never get extended. In fact, you might have a number of them end on issue 2 or 3.
Wow.
There's a couple of examples lately, Doc, with Poison Ivy was supposed to be a miniseries and now it's ongoing. Green Arrow was supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries that became ongoing because the sales were good enough.
Can I tell you why Poison Ivy is non-going? Marcio freaking Takara, man. That guy is so underrated. I worked with him on Incredibles. He is amazing. And his art is gorgeous. It appeals to people. It's a fun style. And you know, G. Willow Wilson not doing a bad job on the writing. So, you know, people responded to it.
This Milestone issue wasn't much to chew on, but she only did like 8 pages in it. Otherwise, it was like Joanne Stair and stuff. But it's been rough. Breen, do you remember the good old days of X-Men? What's it going to take to get you back into X-Men? Is it going to take exceptional?
Yeah, I will say, I hear a lot of people talking about books and say, "Well, the art was really good," and I look as it's not. This book had good art, and it had good art.
And that's where it ended.
Yeah. See, the problem, it's and these points have all been made. It's like, here it is, 60 years into this, and human mutant relations are worse. You think that the way they set these universes up, that all the good people are on the left, all the bad people on the right, you would think that there'd be enough that the relationships would have gotten a little better by now. And I realized, like I said, in writers without that haven't lived life, to Aaron's point, they always resort to self-inserts and telling their story through the characters in their book. That's why nothing of any consequence is going to happen in this book. I'm guessing, I don't know which, first I was going to ask, was the girl trying to get in the club that's going to end up being a dude, or the roommate? Is that Eve Ewing? Because one of them is. I'm guessing probably the roommate. And this is just going to be a coming out story. Whether they're going to introduce a bunch of teen characters, at least half of them will be part of the community, and it'll be Kitty, trying to figure out her way and probably mentoring them as she learns how to. It's not compelling, and what little I've seen of the other stuff, it isn't compelling. I mean, I look at some of the things that I used to, like when Extreme X-Men came out in the early 2000s, I thought, man, has it really gotten to this? I wish it was that now.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, because they you know what? No,
I cannot agree.
Okay, so when Claremont had come back to X-Men, it didn't perform as well as they thought, but it was still good. Like that whole thing with the Neo and adding all those new mutants, and that different kind of offshoot of mutants. It was interesting, and they were bringing back the whole Destiny Diaries thing that they hadn't really touched in forever.
This sounds like people that like the first 3 Star Wars movies because the new ones suck.
But
those suck
too. Okay? It was trying to go in a new direction. It was a tolerable direction, but it wasn't selling. It wasn't selling well.
I mean, it did 40 fucking issues or something of the book. It had to have sold something.
No. Hold on. No. Because he started the story that turned into Extreme X-Men on. He started it in X-Men and Uncanny X-Men because he was writing both of them, but it didn't perform well enough for Marvel to the point where they booted him off, but let him continue his story in a new series that did go 50 issues because they needed to do even better than that. And they brought in Joe Casey and Grant Morrison to take over the main book. Now,
well, he was like on his second that was like his second run on it, right?
That was his first return.
First return. Okay, yeah, we'll call it first return.
Yes. Because he had 2 returns to the title, but regardless, so it was performing, but not up to their standard now, and they had to basically shove it off into a third book, but it was a good third book for Marvel.
I like Chris Claremont's second return better than I liked his first return. How do you think about that?
The first half of his second return wasn't all that great because we had Dino Rachel in there. Don't forget about that. Okay. Dino Rachel and the XSE, where they were working for the government. But by the time it got to like End of Grays,
that's the ones. Yeah, exactly.
That's where it started getting really good, and it was just in time for them to boot him off again for fucking Ed Brubaker. But no, so like they had done. You can have a third core X-Men book and it do well. Now it seems like this. I mean, shit at least happened in those fucking books. Like fucking Beast died in the second issue of Extreme X-Men. We didn't die. He got put into like a coma, and then he ends up getting his secondary mutation.
I gotta tell you, what's it, Callisto getting those octopus arms? I wasn't down with that. Okay,
that was
that sounds
good, and I can't forgive any of that book for that.
That was in Excalibur.
No, that was in Extreme
No,
X-Men.
it was in
I've never read
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
Where it was the it was the Excalibur book that launched after Morrison's X-Men ended, and it was the one that was set in Genosha, where Magneto. It turns out the whole Zornito thing.
We're gonna fight
bullshit.
on this. I don't want to drag this show down anymore with this garbage.
But no, that was fucking terrible. That book sucked, even though it had Aaron Lopresti art. And
We'll be addressing this on Fantastic Comics this Tuesday. The Extreme X-Men debate.
Well, at least it's better. That one was still better than the second Extreme X-Men book that was the gay Wolverine and Hercules book. You'll like
real.
No, it is.
I don't remember that.
It's real.
I mean,
it's real.
They've been changing Herc's sexuality for a while now, haven't they?
Oh yeah, they were.
Well, he's
it was
Greek, right?
Hercules and Wolverine. Gay
Yeah, well, I
together.
mean, isn't that great when they lean into stereotypes? Or he's Greek, he's got to be bisexual, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like old ass Greek god. I mean,
the
yeah,
same people that hiss and moan about any sort of stereotyping of any other group. But Greek, that totally makes that means they definitely take it up the butt.
There's a lot of hypocrisy.
I mean, do you think? I don't know. I feel like Hercules is probably more of a giver than a receiver.
Oh my goodness! All right, we've obviously got nowhere else to go on this one.
We gotta go into the whole like almost sunny bit. Like we're sitting around discussing this. And see, this is where we have Josh. We should have Josh here, and then he's the gay guy, but he leaves.
Josh is supposed to be here, but he something came up and he ended up having to actually work. But do you have anything else to say about Exceptional X-Men, or do we cover it? Feels like we covered it. Very nice. We got Dion. I don't buy DC's woke messages in comics. Talia literally raped Bruce and has a child with Bruce because Morrison remembered it wrong. He lied. They are mocking male rape victims with it. I only throw the name Bill Cosby in.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
Forgot it wrong.
I don't really know what to do with that. Like, didn't they eventually say that like Talia was artificially inseminated?
Yeah, that's what they've done now, I think.
What is so wrong with Bruce willingly having sex with Talia? Like, why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
When they have sex, it's in that son of the demon or child of the demon or whatever.
Yeah, when they first did. Yeah.
Technically, ever since that came out, that was not in continuity.
No, they did take that out. You're right. And then Grant Morrison claimed he didn't really know about it. So when he did his thing. Yeah, because Talia ended up like telling Bruce she miscarried and ended up putting the baby up for adoption in that original deal. So.
Holy shit, that got real quick, didn't it?
Yeah,
that was Brayfogle on art too. I think I never read it.
That was good.
Man.
Yeah, it's a shame.
They do have a lot of female on male rape in DC, though.
They did with Hawkman and the New 52. That happened. There was a couple things that happened in the New 52 like that.
You got the movie where I think. Is it Barbara? With
with Bruce on the rooftop, Bruce Timm's obsession, which I keep getting told that's not so. Yet all kinds of people who actually worked with him have told me that is so. You had Harley tying Nightwing to the bed and having a go at him. It's just a lot of weird fantasy fulfillment from the people at DC, from the guys at DC.
There's a little bit of Marvel too, but
well, I guess it's just the way it is.
Yeah, you've always had people.
Wait till you see what I do with Booster Gold. He has he's going to be a totally different character because his name is the same as my brother, and I'm putting that in that character, and you don't want to read it.
Well, it's
your brother's name is Booster,
Michael.
Yeah, Booster might be the one character that most people don't know his real name. It's such a weird deal, but yeah.
At least it's fictional in the pages of the comics as opposed to the actual industry itself, where it's not always fictional.
I named my child after Exo War, and the Filipinos have a really hard time with X-O being a first name. You know what I mean? What the hell is this Exo? Yes, that's exactly how you pronounce it. Who opened their soda pop? Was that you, Doc?
No. No,
it was
me.
Breen. It wasn't. I knew it was a Coke Zero. I could hear it. There we go. Federico Tannacasa. I think Aaron nailed it. These writers decide to write mutants so they can justify people attacking them and be victims when nobody cares about them.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty basic.
Go wish fulfillment. I wish I was as marginalized and abused as I imagine I could be. So I will throw it onto the
as
character.
a writer, you draw things from your own life and from your own experience, and you work that into a fictional setting. But I can't think of anything more boring than trying to write a story about me and like trying to like, oh, this is my story. This is me in this story. Oh, how boring. I live with myself every day. The last thing I want to do when I sit down in front of the keyboard is write about myself.
Yeah, you got fucking Superman. He's got his beard. He's like trying to pull a Cheeto out of a Kryptonian beard. It just
I don't eat Cheetos.
Come on, Cheeto fingers. Don't lie to me. You know what Cheetos.
I'm not saying I've never eaten Cheetos, but I don't eat that anymore.
Doc, what's your favorite Cheeto flavor? Is it Flamin' Hot?
Oh no, I'm a very, very traditionalist when it comes to Cheetos. I like my basic the Cheetos crunchy, just the normal neon orange flavor.
Don't eat
By the way,
you comic books, people.
You know it's healthy when it's neon orange.
Yes. The less natural the color on the snack is, the better it tastes.
Am I the only one that thinks the jalapeno cheddar Cheetos are the best Cheetos?
No, those are good. Those are real good.
I just came back and they suck.
Come on, Jim.
Jim's like, they're the super sons of Cheetos.
Listen here.
Totally
I don't love the taste of like that sort of jalapeno. It always, but it's like that and like artificially tasting like green pepper type.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Are you a Flamin' Hot Cheeto kind of guy, Jim?
I actually do like Flaming Hot Cheetos. Yeah. Not my favorite though. My favorite was the recently pulled hot mustard Doritos, which I couldn't get enough of those damn things, and then they yanked them. They yanked them away. It was limited time. They were awesome.
What? Why would you do a limited? I've never understood that.
Like, and it was like the hot mustard was like the like at the Chinese restaurant like hot mustard deal, and it was so good.
And if you actually got some hot mustard from the Chinese restaurant,
I
dipped the Doritos into that,
I crossed the streams,
slathered it up. With
those are so good.
You know what's weird? I lived in England in like the year 2000. I discovered smoky bacon flavored potato chips there, and I still don't understand why we don't have them in the U.S. and they haven't proliferated worldwide. Bacon makes everything taste better, and it's the best tasting chip.
Yep.
Well, the UK has certain food rules, so they're probably too healthy to bring to America because our FDA like wants us poisoned.
Bacon flavored too healthy.
That's the thing too. British people can't cook worth a lick. But boy, they can make potato chips. I mean, they're the best. Yeah, awesome.
I love those videos where you have like British people and you're like, we're going to feed you a bunch of Taco Bell. And you get their reactions.
Yeah, I
to
love
it.
that
You know,
too.
like they have to eat different things from America. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Every bread that they taste of ours is like, is this cake?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what they do.
That's weird because if you go to a bakery in England, you'll see this like thing and it's got all this cream and stuff on top of it. And you're like, wow, that must be the most decadent dessert of all time. And then when you taste it, you're like, oh, it's flour.
Yeah,
there's no flavor. It's salt. I was expecting something sweet. But the only other potato chip story I've got, Breen, and I know that you're enthralled by this, is when I lived in Korea, they would have these Doritos to where the entire bag would all look the same, but one out of like every 10 chip would be like a wasabi flavored chip. It was like a chip bomb. Good. So you'd be eating like cheddar cheese flavored chips, and then you would get a wasabi in there. You're not expecting it because it looks the same and everything, and then it would blow your mouth up. It was awesome.
So it's like playing that game where you mix a bunch of Skittles in with your M&Ms. And then
exactly.
We are so uninterested in talking about e-viewing's X-Men book that we're talking about potato chips.
Not as riveting, but my dad was working for P&G when they were creating Pringles, so we got test cans.
Nice.
Wow.
And
yeah,
that was the guy
who was like, you got to go vertical on this. You cannot go horizontal. Wrong way to go.
My neighbor was the guy My neighbor was the guy who came up with the whatchamacallit. I had a lot of those. Like, he had a
What?
bunch of,
That's
he had
my
a bunch
number
of
two.
The
stuff.
one
favorite
you
candy
just-
bar.
Oh my
The
god!
one you just got into a
whatchamacallit.
fist fight
He
with?
no, this is when I was growing up, and he legitimately would go and like there was a bunch of kids, and he would give us like trash bags full of whatchamacallits. Just give them to us. So I ate so many of them that I really can't eat them anymore. But I did love them. Yeah.
Man. But you know
All
what's
right, who
cooler than
remembers
that? Fucking Breen beta tested Pringles.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And hitting somebody with the can, shoved up your arm.
Exactly.
Good times.
Man. Was it just plain, or did you have some sour cream and onion in there too?
Oh no! Back then it was just the original flavor. I mean, I realize they have more flavors than Baskin Robbins now, but back then it was just.
Remember when there was only one thing?
Of everything.
That was it. That was your whole fucking company. Just
there
one
was
thing.
That's when
one
sour cream and chive blew your mind. Holy moly!
I just love the idea.
I know
of Breen,
a second X-Men book. Holy shit!
I just love the idea of Breen being a food tester and them just bringing him more than chips. Like, okay, try this new vegan dish. What does
There's
it
this
taste like?
turkey
And
dinner.
Breen's just like sadness. It's like sadness.
Unfortunately, he developed a growth, and
Well, the problem is, the problem is now I look like I could be a food taster.
Oh, we all get older. It happens.
Well, if you did get a job as a food taster, you'd always be looking over your shoulder to see if CB Cebulski was coming to shank you to take your job, because that's the one that he really wants. Because he clearly doesn't want to be in charge of Marvel.
He just does it. He doesn't need to be paid. He's every day.
We got
Pro bono.
Earthworm Jeb. Fantastic name, sir. Happy anniversary, Wes. No questions. Just wanted to congratulate you and your family. Well, I appreciate that. We did have our 9-year anniversary this week. We had a good time with the kids and all that. And this week happens to be like a big celebration in the city or whatever. And my oldest son volunteered to be a drummer in the marching band. It's like his first thing that he did. He ended up with like a uniform with a hat and all that kind of stuff. And he ended up having to march today. Now, Uel, my son, is 9 years old. It's the Philippines. So the temperature is like 95 degrees, even at 7 a.m. How long do you think this parade lasted that he had to march around and play his drum?
How? I mean, is it like a mile, or how long was it going to be?
2 hours.
Holy shit! I mean, were you just going in circles? Was that what was?
They went all around the city.
I mean, to me, I would just assume it's like you just have like one little island that you live on.
Yeah. In my hometown, the parade just started at the school, it went down Main Street, went in front of where all the little shops were, and then he went back to the school. This one went all around the city, and they had 9-year-olds playing drums in the heat with these enormous uniforms on with hats and everything, playing drums for 2 hours straight.
That's how Tommy Lee started.
Exactly. But he championed through it. He pulled through. He didn't whine and complain. He played the entire time, and I was surprised that he was able to do it. Yes, we needed to get him hydrated. It was pretty wild, but he was very proud of himself. We were proud of him too. So he had a lot of fun in that one. So it's been a fun week for the family stuff for certain.
Did he do well with the drums? I heard he was slacking off. That's what I heard.
He was slacking off early, but he definitely more dedicated himself late, and he did a great job on the parade. And he's got 2 more parades coming up over the next year that he didn't realize he was signing up.
He's starting to train for now.
And he also signed up for Boy Scouts this week. So they told him if he joined Boy Scouts, he could go camping. And that was enough to get him to sign up. So he's getting.
My dad didn't let me do Boy Scouts because he told me he wasn't allowed. So I wasn't allowed to do it.
Sounds like a nice man.
Yeah. Oh, my dad was a dick. Late dick.
Raythick 7, Extreme X-Men was great until Gemma sabotaged the book by taking LaRocca off to draw Gemma's garbage Namor book.
Okay, I'm going to say that is exactly the time Salvador LaRocca became one of the worst artists in comic books. How you like that?
Oh,
on Namor?
No, on Extreme X-Men.
Well, it was they stopped giving him an anchor.
I know. They did the straight to coloring book. I mean, I shouldn't blame entirely LaRocca for that, but unfortunately, he's getting it. I don't like him now, and I didn't like him then.
Yeah, he
Hey, like
went
that.
from that plus the fact that you replaced LaRocca, regardless of whether or not you like the uninked look that they did. They replaced him with Igor fucking Cordy.
I like Cordy. He just
Igor Cordy
got
is
burnt out and had to do too much.
Fucking terrible, dude.
He's good. He's a good artist. He just was doing like all the books.
Doc has been talking shit about Igor Cordy on this channel for 6 years straight.
You got to look at his like more European stuff. I mean, he has some storytelling stuff that he does in the Grant Morrison bit that's really good, but he's doing his Cable, his Soldier X was really good.
I have that
was when
book.
he was only doing that.
It's still terrible.
All right. Well,
it's the old Cage match today.
He's every character that Igor Cordy draws looks like a melted wax figurine.
I would suggest again, he was doing a whole lot more work than most people these days will even try to attempt. And you can look at his European stuff and it's a lot tighter also. Probably doing more of it himself too. But I mean, you know, that's cool. But I agree. Jameis's Namor. Jameis is almost anything. He has a really good write-up, or there's a real good write-up about Jameis's time at Marvel in the last Comics Journal that just came out a week ago. So you might want to check that out.
Very nice. Carlitos Figueroa. Astonishing X-Men and Extreme X-Men are when they were at their best in the early 2000s. Everything else was promising, and then failure or trash.
Astonishing X-Men, Doc?
You know, here's something that I don't think we talk about enough. This is the first time in history that we've had franchises that have lasted this long in a continuous form. And maybe they're just not meant to do that. Maybe, you know, we've had a extraordinary run because of the modern times we live in, but maybe, you know, maybe stories aren't meant to go on forever. Maybe they're meant to have a logical beginning, middle, and end. And because of corporatization of all these characters, like, we just never get that. So we just, you know, get a continual stream of bad stories until they eventually just die because, you know, there's just no good stories to tell with them anymore. Or at least
Conan
there's
the
nobody
Barbarian
left to do it.
Conan the Barbarian differs from Titan Comics.
Okay.
Well, that's
longer
true.
than the X-Men.
But how many decades of bad Conan did we endure? There's only I'm kind of
3 decades.
with Aaron on this, where there's only so many years or decades that you can write stories with certain characters before you've essentially told every story.
I also think that, like you're saying, you also have to have really good writers that can continue that, and we do not have that now.
No, we don't.
No, you don't have anybody, because what you should be doing, and this is what we did with Darkwing, and obviously Darkwing hasn't had a 60-year
subplots.
Subplots, you know, different characters doing different things, looking at characters and thinking of new ways that you can, you know, use what the foundation of what is there. And that's a big problem in comics right now, is none of these writers, either they don't know the foundation or they don't care. And they just want to tell the stories that they want to tell. And so they mold the character to what they want to do instead of telling a story that comes out of the character and the foundation of what has been established. That is what gets people invested. That's what gets readers in long term. That's what appeals to men. You know, as a demographic, we like world building, we like lore. And I'm not saying that there aren't women that are interested in that too, because there are, but largely that is why these things appeal to men, is because we enjoy these sorts of stories. And we have a bunch of writers come in who don't care about that. You're going to get readers that don't care, and we decide to withhold our money. And then what happens is things fail, and then we get blamed. Well, you didn't show up for this. No, we didn't show up for the thing that you gave us that we didn't want. You're right.
And you're right about they don't know the foundation, so they come up with ideas that seem to mimic something from before but are worse, or they come up with these ideas that, oh, this never happened before, but there's a reason, because it sucks, and they end up just falling into this trap of wanting to wow people with, oh, I'm going to change this, whatever, instead of like getting, like you said, the foundation of the character and logically thinking up a story for it. But I think that in general, a lot of the problems are that there's no storytellers left anyway. They just want to, you know, throw their message and stuff out. And
I'm all for coming in and looking at an established story or an established character or established motivation and saying, what new can I add on to this? What wrinkle can I give this that'll make it interesting to where I can tell this new story? What I'm against is the Jason Aaron kind of thing where he's going, I'm going to come in and everything you know is wrong. Yeah. I'm going to recontextualize everything. And you break it. You break it then, you know, and I'm not interested in, and this is the problem with the industry. This is the problem with Hollywood. This is the problem with all these things is these people are coming in and they are fundamentally breaking these things so that they don't work anymore.
And they want to innovate it without knowing the past anyway. You have to know it's like anything. If you're going to play the guitar, you learn the basics of the guitar, then you can try to, you know, be the next Jimi Hendrix or whatever, but you do have to know the basics first, and they don't know the basics. So it ends up failing.
Yeah, I want to add something to what Aaron was saying about maybe these stories aren't meant to go forever, because the biggest problem in comics, from them being evergreen, so to speak, is that there are certain stories where a villain arc is so good that when it ends, you should never see the villain again. A couple examples: Fantastic Four 200, when Reed finally beats him one-on-one. That'd been a perfect place to end Doom's story. How do you top the Korvac saga? Chris can't write well. You used him in the last Iron Man. Seriously, what do you there's certain characters that need endings. Doomsday, the one time he was used, should have been a one and out. But since at some point there should have been a story where everybody, and it could have set up like who killed the Joker, and it could be everybody that ever survived an encounter with him. But since these last forever, you have to keep recycling ideas over and over again. And I realize that comic audiences change over the years, but it is there's only so much you can do with characters that it's at some point it does kind of get where we are now. Especially, you said, we have writers. The writers when I was growing up, some of them had been World War II veterans. They'd lived, the Jack Kerouac type of lifestyle. They had things to relate. Now, if you grew up in front of a keyboard, looking for ways to be oppressed and offended, it ends up showing up in the writing, and it dilutes it. And
do you think the characters all need a Death of Marvel story, huh?
Well, not everyone. It's there's
some can have a happy ending. Like you can ride off into the sunset. Now you
and
can't.
All of these happen. All of these things happen in Joss Whedon's astonishing X-Men. So that's what I think about it.
Well, I mean,
you can have none of these things can happen in the big two, of course, because these are now corporate owned characters, and there's always a few extra dollars to be squeezed out of them. That's the mindset. So they're never going to go away. We need to keep telling Joker stories because we can keep selling Joker stories. But when you get into you take independent books, do you think Aaron Lopresti's Wraith of God is going to go on forever? I'm sure he has an end game in mind. I have an end game with Doomface. I know how Doomface's story ends, and that the trick is to build it up and get there. Do you think Fiendish is going to go on forever from Rennie? No, I'm sure she has a wrap up to that story, and she might tell other stories in that world. But I'm sure for those main characters, she has she has an end game. You can't do that in corporate comics because you always got to hand the baton to somebody else. But when you're working within that framework, you need to not break the baton. You need to leave it intact so the next person can take it and they can build on what you've done. And then you need people who come in and they care enough and they are talented enough and they have enough integrity as a creator to stand on the shoulders of giants and not trying to destroy what they have done, but try to build it up and make it better. And you just don't get that anymore because you've got a bunch of carpetbaggers coming into the industry that are just trying to go somewhere else.
Very nice. Jose the Beast. Turbos or Takis chips? Good with nacho cheese. What do you think, Aaron? Which one are you picking?
I have never had either of those chips, and I do not like nacho cheese.
You don't like nacho cheese?
No. Give me real cheddar melted over something. I don't want nacho cheese. Ugh,
give me real fucking cheddar in my nachos.
It's nacho cheese.
Damn no, man. Exactly. I want. Nope. I'm gonna grate real cheese over those some bitches.
I don't think you can make a roux. You don't know how to make a real cheese sauce, Aaron. I'm calling you out.
Okay.
A little milk in there.
You're right. I don't know how to make a real cheese sauce.
Exactly.
You're absolutely correct.
Cheese.
I admit it. I'm barely I can cook.
We made a cheese sauce last week. It was phenomenal.
Oh, well, bully for you.
You know what I like with nacho cheese, Uel?
Hmm.
I like Tostitos scoops because you get to
Oh, yeah.
determine the amount of nacho cheese in the bite.
See, that sounds
Scoops are
good.
great.
That appeals to me.
You know, people don't talk about bugles enough, but I am an classic bugle fan, and I just want to throw that out there.
I get a craving for bugles, and then I'll eat them, and I overdo
Got
it.
a weird oil thing
It's
to
the
them.
candy corn of chips, is
It's
basically
too,
what it
it's,
is.
yeah, it
So-
gets too
so-
heavy, and then it's like, ooh, and then I have to wait a while to eat them again.
Mhm.
But I
Wait,
do love
so
them
if
when
it's-
I'm eating them.
If it's the candy corn of chips, so they're the shittiest flavor you've ever put in your mouth.
No, it's not.
From
I'm just
how
saying,
you
you know, you
mix
kind of
or-
long for a candy corn, and then you taste them, and you're like,
And then you never want to taste it again because you're
No,
like
I
a
go
fucking,
back and want to do it. It's not
you're like a
circus peanuts,
trauma
Doc. It's
victim
not- Go away.
that,
Yeah, but
that had a
bugles were
head
awesome.
injury.
Bugles were great.
Yeah,
They're
bugles
so.
are good.
We had those when I was a kid.
Yeah. You know what I haven't
Bugles are for
experienced
the
that Doc
elbow.
is kind of talking about there is with Long John Silver's. I remember getting, fish planks as a kid with the hush puppies and the little crispies
The little
and
crispy.
thinking it was delicious. And every year when I lived in the US, now I don't anymore, but I would go in and I'd be like, yeah, I want some Long John Silver's, and I'd get one bite into it. I'd be like, no, I don't. Like, what was I thinking?
I'm with you.
It's so disgusting.
The only Long John Silver's that we have around is like, I'm telling you, it's like a 30-minute drive, and occasionally I'll want to go do that, and I end up regretting it every time. But I do
Every
feel
time.
like I need to go. It gets me.
Long John Silver's is where you go once every 6 months to remind yourself why
Yeah,
you only go once every 6 months.
Or you can
But I love hush
not
puppies.
you can
Yeah.
not go for 25 years.
Yep, you could do
No,
that. Now
that-
I
that
want
Or
to go after
30
the
years.
show.
Actually, it's
That-
probably
that-
been
that makes-
30
that makes-
years.
Man, we
That
don't
makes no
have a
sense
Long
to me.
John Silver's.
There used to be
I'm
one.
not taking food advice from Doc. He doesn't even like candy corn.
Ours is now Long
Hold
John
on.
Silver's Taco Bell.
I've had dinner with Doc. Let me tell you, Doc always orders a prime cut of meat.
I do.
Doc has a
Um,
gutter palate.
Here's the thing.
Throwing.
There's certain things that fast food should not be, and fish is one of those things.
Fish and chips, fast food. It is delicious. And if you go to the
No,
UK,
it's
it's
pub
absolutely
food.
amazing.
Pub food,
is
it's
pub
not
food.
even.
If you walk down the
Pretty
streets in England, they have little fish and chip thing, and it's fast food. You just get it.
That's
right
the
there.
reason why I
Well,
love
you go
Long John Silver's for all the
you get
time
some
I was
hush
in England.
puppies. You get some hush puppies. You get some fries with the malt vinegar on it. Come on, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and you get the little
Sounds
crispy
good.
bits.
Mm-hmm.
Get the
When you
lemon.
get to-
Yeah. Now we're talking.
So, Doc,
Oh, I'm
you
getting
didn't like
hungry
the fillet of fish sandwich at McDonald's?
No. No, that's
I mean,
this-
I also didn't like that. So
it looks
That's my
Tartar
dad
sauce was delicious.
because I'm pretty sure it's fucking salmonella on a plate.
No, I've never died.
So was the McChicken, but you still go for it.
I don't
because
eat
it's
the
got a flavor to
McChicken
it.
either.
Mm.
I don't eat fast food fish or fast food chicken. I will
I
eat.
expect that.
You don't like
Wow.
that,
You know what?
fillet of fish is made from tilapia. That's a bottom feeder fish.
How you feel about that?
What was it?
I don't buy food where people buy underwear.
I can
No
agree
Walmart?
with that too.
No
So
Target,
no Walmart.
Walmart, nothing like that.
I don't. Especially prepared food. No, absolutely not.
No, Commandant VHS is completely right. The best thing about the fillet of fish is they pre-make them and they sit there in the little thing and they're like incubated for 3 or 4 hours, and that's really like you get the hot tartar sauce on it that makes it taste that much better.
Wait, you've never had a Costco hot dog or a Costco slice of
those
pizza?
are great.
In
All right.
People buy
fairness,
underwear there.
It is
in fairness,
outside the place, though.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Right.
a fair division.
back in the day, going to fucking Hills and getting their hot dog and Hills department store and getting hot dog and soda and a pretzel for like $2.50. I
Yeah.
can get behind.
Well,
that.
I mean, there's those Woolworth days or whatever.
yeah, the wolf.
I don't know anything about them though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to have a Woolworth where we used to live.
I
Oh,
did.
yeah. I did too. I guess it's
I
Pennsylvania.
bought my first fucking comic book off a spinner rack in a Woolworth.
Nice.
I got a lot of cheesesteaks and grilled cheese. It's good.
I
I'm
thought
really
if you
just
were a
talking
true
about
like
Target and Walmart and stuff like that.
Philadelphia guy, you had to go to like 2 restaurants for cheesesteaks that are across the street from
It's-
each other.
Now those suck. Those are the worst. That Pats and Genos, they're
Genos.
terrible. That's just the tourist deal. They're not.
If you know the names, they
So
can't
when
be
people
good.
tell me it's not a real cheesesteak if it's got bell pepper and onions and mushrooms,
I've had this fight with people.
I
Here's
love
the deal.
that. That's the best
do.
cheesesteak.
Do you
That
use
is
Swiss
that's a
cheese?
cheesesteak. Yeah, okay.
We use cheese
Vance.
whiz.
This is the thing. That is still a cheesesteak. It's just not a Philly cheesesteak. That's the same as, if I eat clam chowder and it has a bunch, it's not Boston clam chowder. It's now just clam chowder. It's
not
just
red.
the difference of that.
Well, it's
like-
not a Philly cheesesteak if you haven't gotten into a fist fight with the
Well,
guy
that's what
serving it
happened.
to you.
Also, you have to be
Shove it down
berated
his
by the
throat.
person taking your order. They have to yell at you and tell you you're an idiot and things like
If the
that.
cook hasn't tried to stab you with that fucking flipper thing at least once. No, it's like a metal. It's not even really a spatula.
I know what you're talking about. I can picture it. But Sully, what is it? What's the thing that you flip it with?
like a-
Sully's in the chat. He'll tell us.
Sully's
They
in
like-
a business
they like
meeting. That's
chop-
why he isn't here.
They chop
No,
with
he's
it too.
He doesn't like it though. That's strange, huh?
And
Sully doesn't
all that
like cheddar.
Fast food aficionado strikes again.
in Philadelphia, if you go, D'Alessandro's is my favorite cheesesteak, but everybody has their own favorite. But if you say
D'Alessandro's
Geno's or
is
Pat's,
really good.
it's nonsense. It's really good.
I like to
That's
think
my
that we
favorite.
make the chat just start surfing like what they're going to order for lunch. Like, like everybody starts getting hungry.
Since it's approaching lunchtime on the East Coast,
Mhm.
yeah, they're like, all right, so what?
I'm gonna have a
who's gonna
second
bring
breakfast,
me?
I think.
Exactly.
Federico De La Casa, another thing on the X-Men book. I don't know if the Black Sailor Moon girl is trans, but does look weird. Not like when you meet Jubilee and knew she was a co-op cop. Coop?
What?
I think it was cool. I think it was just.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Cool.
I think it was
Gotta
just
look
a
where the
typo.
P is on this keyboard.
Yeah.
She was Coop, like Michael Cooper, Michael Cooper.
No, but yeah, like that
Classic
character,
maker.
the everything about that character screams it's going to end up being trans.
There you
So
go. JK is ordering lunch.
yep,
We did our
see,
Mm.
who'd you order from, JK? That's what we want to know.
I could go for
Don't-
a Firehouse sub about now.
I like Firehouse. That's a good solid sub.
Good subs.
I feel like I want Permanis now.
Remember when
Yeah,
only
yeah.
pizza shops and Chinese places delivered? You remember that?
I do
Yeah.
remember that. That was crazy.
And it was
know what's
them
weird?
that
Okay,
delivered
so
the thing?
In Pittsburgh,
Sure.
here's the thing: Chinese places didn't deliver.
Oh, really?
There
'Cause
was
they were afraid of getting stabbed. We're getting into a
They-
fist fight.
no, that's Philly.
Yes, exactly.
Wrong side of the state. Weirdly enough, our Chinese places never fucking delivered. I had never gotten delivery Chinese food until the pandemic or until Uber Eats started, really.
I believe that there was a Chinese place in Pittsburgh that delivered food before the pandemic.
Usually, when that's the places usually suck though, because that's why they try to get it's nonsense. So I don't know.
Yeah, everywhere else was like
packed. That's why.
everywhere
Right.
else was like, nah, fuck you. You come in.
The best
Yeah.
delivery I've ever had, because I've lived around the world. When I lived in Korea, if you could order food from this place, like you had somebody that knew how to speak Hangul or whatever, they would come to your house and they would have serving dishes and you would have plates and silverware and everything. They would drop it off there. And then when you got done with it, you left it outside your apartment and then it would mysteriously disappear.
Like you're in a hotel?
Yes. But it was from a restaurant 5 miles away.
Huh.
It was the greatest food delivery of all times. No styrofoam, no dirty plastic containers or anything like that. They went and they adiosed it all for you. That's what they need to do in
Nice.
America. So there we go. There we go. What did you think about Jubilee when you met her, Doc? Were you excited? Because I met her in the cartoon when I was like,
No,
why is there a mutant that has firecrackers? It gets weird.
Fireworks, yeah. Well, now first of all, it was kind of an obvious replacement for Dazzler. But I didn't mind. I mean, I thought the character was kind of fun. Generally, I'm not a big fan of when they add the kid character into a cast of adults. but they didn't center the story around her. She was very obviously kind of the Kitty replacement and the Dazzler replacement simultaneously, because Kitty had been out of the book for a while. There was none of that youth in the title, but I was like, all right. Now, initially, like, she was kind of a one-off character in Uncanny 244, and you don't find out until a couple issues later that she had kind of piggybacked a ride back to the Outback with the X-Men. There were hints at it because people would be bitching about not being able to find stuff. They're like, I put my food over here. Where the hell did it go? And all that stuff. So it was cool. And she was kind of like this little, she added something back that the book had lost when Kitty moved over to Excalibur. But she was interesting, and they didn't immediately try to force feed us, more Jubilee. And they also didn't immediately make her the best at everything. In fact, she was kind of not really competent. Like,
she wasn't particularly useful, and she was likable. Yeah, and she was likable, and she kind of like gave you that Kitty Wolverine relationship again, where you get to see a little bit of Wolverine's softer side. It worked. It worked because Chris Claremont took the time to do things right. He took the time to build things. He took the time to put foundations, that he could, that he could then shore up. And we don't get that anymore. Now we get like, this is the new character, and you're gonna like them. And it's like, no, he would give you time to adjust to them, and then if they were working, he would keep them around, and if they didn't work, he would jettison them. You know, think of all kinds of things that he brought in that didn't work. Hard Case and the Harriers, that lasted one issue. People were like, I'm not interested in this. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we won't do that again.
Yeah, they like, and the thing was, unlike the Kitty Wolverine relationship, where Wolverine was initially kind of like, what in the hell is this kid doing here? And then became very protective of her. It worked the opposite way, where Jubilee was actually the one that was really protective of Wolverine. Because she felt like he was the one that actually needed help. I mean, from literally their first interaction, where she saves him from the Reavers after they've done the
they crucify him on the X.
Yeah. So she is kind of taking care of him. She, and then she's tagging along and basically being his almost like nursemaid.
How do we not have a Marvel Legend of that, Doc? If they're going to give us the Phoenix with the big, backsplash, Phoenix, how do we not have the crucified Wolverine on the X?
Exactly.
It'd be an amazing set.
It really would be. And then like when Psylocke shows back up after she's Lady Mandarin, and then kind of gets her memory back, she's no longer being controlled by the Mandarin. But she's still she's very sketchy, and Jubilee just straight up does not trust her. Even though Wolverine has a long history with her, she does not trust Psylocke and is very, very protective of Wolverine. So it takes a very different approach to a similar dynamic.
Very nice. And Federico also adds, when she was introduced, Jubilee had Robin colors.
She was. Because Wolverine was kind of Marvel's Batman, and so Jubilee became his Robin.
Very, very cool. Really appreciate that. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I did want to get to this because I think this would be fun. We want to talk about our favorite Teen Titans stories of all times. And somebody can say the Judas Contract, but we can't all say the Judas Contract is the only rule out there.
Judas Contract.
No, Jim, hold up. I'm going to go first.
If Jim's got Judas Contract,
I thought we were calling dibs.
I'm out.
I don't know if it's my favorite Titan story of all time, but it's definitely the most underrated, underappreciated. But that Adam Glass relaunch with the new team with Damian and Roundhouse and
Fat
Kid
guy,
Flash and the Dijin and
Crush.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good for like, I don't know, like 15 issues, maybe a little bit longer than that before he left. But we also get a really cool, I think a crossover with the Deathstroke series that was going on at the time. And I really love that one, Jim. And I know you had a lot of fun with it too.
Yeah, that was fun. There's a couple of things like that. I know that a lot of people didn't like that because they just didn't like Damien. But that was where
I just love Roundhouse.
Roundhouse is great.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you can throw new characters out there and try to elevate them and they just fail, or you have a character like Roundhouse that just shows up and eventually wins you over, even when he became kind of a villain in it, but then redeemed himself all in that little bit of a run that was really good. And I love Roundhouse is one of my favorite characters. I love him. I think he's great. And even the Jin and stuff like that in there and Crush were really great in that book. That was really good.
Yeah, so I love that one. I'm going to throw that one out there as an underappreciated Jim. And I'm glad that you will respond to that one too, because it seemed like no one ever talked about it.
Yeah,
and I think that guy left comic books basically to become a showrunner on TV or something. But it was really cool. And they introduced some new things that we hadn't seen.
Mine is actually the one with the relaunch that had all the Michael Turner covers with the Judd Winnick. I thought it was Judd Winnick that did that one, and then Johns came on later.
Yeah, because mine's actually a Jeff Johns story, but you keep going, Don.
It could be.
But yeah, I like because it was the first when Superboy was on the team, because it was one of the only times I remember Superboy being on the Titans.
Teen Titans #1, Michael Turner cover, Jeff Johns writing.
Yeah, I think
that's we got some really good Starfire ass on the cover.
Oh, you know what? No, that was around the time that because Judd Winnick left the Exiles to go do Outsiders at the time, because they relaunched Outsiders and Teen Titans right around the same time.
It's the story a kid's game.
Yes.
That's my favorite. That is my favorite.
Okay.
As well. Yep.
All right. Well, you can have it.
No, we could go together. We'll be together.
Okay, we'll share.
Boys.
You take it, Jim, because I got one for Doc that I'm shocked that he didn't say.
Well, Titans X-Men?
Yes, the greatest Marvel DC crossover of all times.
It's definitely the best Marvel DC crossover. It's absolutely better than the Marvel versus the amalgam, or as I like to say, the amalgam universe.
Amalgam.
And or the Marvel versus DC stuff that preceded it. Titans. I mean, look, you have Phoenix and Darkseid as the villains in it. That's not a bad choice. I don't think you can't lose with that one. And you had Perez, Wolfman, Claremont, Cochran, or was it
Simonson? Yeah.
But no, it was a great fucking book. It's been a number of years since I read it. I actually just found my copy was beat to shit, and I just recently bought a new copy of that. That's in much better shape.
Very, very nice. So, Jim, what is it about the Jeff Johns kids game that you like so much?
I like the character work in it, and it was. I mean, even when it came out, I even heard of it. I wasn't even reading comics at that point, and I heard about it because it was kind of like a back to like a Marv Wolfman deal. But it did. It had like what Jeff Johns does a lot, and unlike Jason Aaron, a lot of times he goes back and grabs some things and ends up making them, a little bit of a modern take to them. But the thing of the, Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and Superboy, and the thing, it was more the team and things like that. I just really, really liked it. Then you ended up getting, clone of Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, kind of crazy. It was really cool. I really liked that run.
Very, very nice. All right, Breen, you've been around the longest.
Yeah, the covers.
You have something in the Wayback Machine on Teen Titans that you're going to say is your favorite? Is it Judas Contract? Could be.
Yeah, but like you said, that's like a default answer. I'd love to say there was something from the Bob Haney days of the original series, but my favorite, and I haven't read it in a while, so I'm real fuzzy on the particulars. But this was basically right before they introduced Tara, was the mob storyline with Donna Amasidio, and it introduced Adrian Chase as the vigilante. And the culmination of the story was in the second annual. I remember really, really liking that. And I guess it would be like the first 6 issues of the Wolfman Perez, because he had introduced the new characters, and a villain that stood the test of time, and that he was the dad of one of the new members who couldn't convince anybody that it was real. And
so first appearance of Adrian Chase, New Teen Titans 23. First appearance of him as Vigilante, New Teen Titans Annual number 2.
Yeah, that was
because he died. It was awesome.
No, I said because at the time when the New Teen Titans relaunched in 1980, Marvel had basically, DC was just so far in the rearview mirror, and this actually, brought people back because it had a Marvel feel to it. I'll tell you how out of DC I was at the time. I didn't start reading the book till issue 17, and then went back and got the rest of them. I don't even know how I did it, because I think that was actually, I guess by that time there was finally a comic book shop in my area. But yeah, it was incredible how good that was compared to what DC had really been doing to that point.
So you missed the first appearance of Deathstroke?
Yeah. Well, nobody was buying DC in those days, and shit. You got to remember also back then, he was buying comics at convenience stores and grocery stores, because there weren't any shops. And I didn't find my first comic shop till early '82.
Very nice. All right, Sparrow, do you have a personal favorite Titan story?
My favorite.
And why is it Young Justice season 4 episode whatever it is that you wrote?
20 or 21, something in there. Odyssey of Death. My favorite Titan story is when Kenneth Rocafort was attacked by CBR writer, or was it Comics Alliance writer, Janella Sellin, for the sexy way that he drew Wonder Girl on the cover, and that briefly elevated her to a position of power to inflict pain upon the comic book industry, until she eventually had to admit that she had a lot of mental issues to work out and left the industry and moved to the Midwest to become a lesbian. That's my favorite Titan story.
That's actually mine too.
What issue was that?
69.
The issue of living in 2015, 2016, 2017.
There were a lot of issues involved in that story.
A lot of issues. But hopefully they have been dealt with in the Midwest.
Wow. Oh, I can't hear Wes. Is he muted?
Oh, Wes.
My bad, I was muted. There's a Kenneth Rocafort Wonder Girl cover that's too sexy.
Yeah, it's like he got attacked
because they're young.
She didn't like the size of her breasts.
It's Cassie, right?
Yeah, Cassie, and made a big deal out of it.
She doesn't like the size of her breast. You should have seen Donna Troy.
Well, and then she said, like, it's not even the size of her breast, because certainly big-breasted teens exist, but it's the way Kenneth Rocafort draws. They look like implants, and it was just like a big bunch of, like, a big nothing burger. It's just somebody who had a problem with themselves, had a problem, had a lot of issues that were unresolved, and just decided to attack a comic book artist. And obviously, Kenneth Rocafort, amazing artist, still in the industry today, killing it on Groken, his independent book, which you guys should check out. Look at this amazing Kneel Before Doomface cover behind me that he did for me. Obviously, I like Ken a lot. I like his art a lot. Always have since I first saw him on Madame Mirage. And it was just it was that part of that ridiculous time in comics, which we're still, now we're in the tail
being
end of it.
attacked. For drawing women pretty.
Yep.
He signed
you're not allowed to have pretty women. Everybody has to be, frumpy, so that people who can't bother to get to the gym or put on any makeup, so they don't feel bad about themselves.
Gotham City Sirens #4.
Every city, this is the thing. It's nobody's responsibility to tiptoe around your issues. Okay, it's your responsibility to deal with them as an adult.
Oh, so basically this chick is the walking version of the meme of oh no, a sexy girl. This is unrealistic beauty expectations.
Yeah.
Whereas guys are like, fuck. They see a He-Man comic, they're like, fuck, I gotta go to the gym.
Yeah, and this was a Whisper Network person who even tried to like whip up a mob against me until I had to BTFO her with some legal action.
Wow.
So this is just one of those things where it's like you got somebody who is deeply damaged, and I feel bad for that, but you don't get to take your damage out on everybody else. I understand that you've got some issues, but you got to work through those, and we'll all be sympathetic to you. But you can't just go around attacking other people because you're unhappy inside.
Did you tell her? You like, listen, you might think the bulge on Darkwing Duck is inappropriate, but trust me, he is packing heat, and you need to talk to Silvati. He's the one that drew it.
No. It's like we never got accused of anything. Although I did have some weirdo come at us once, Landry Walker and I, for Incredibles, because Marcio had drawn a plane, and behind the plane he did a line of smoke to kind of indicate the direction that the plane was going and give it a sense of motion. And they claimed that we were normalizing chemtrails in the comic book.
You weren't?
What?
I know
Yeah.
Landry. He hates
Yeah.
chemtrails.
Exactly, right? Like, if there's anybody that I feel like would be against chemtrails, it's Landry. So, but that was like just one of those funny controversies where people are like, it's like, it's weird because I have both been accused of being a flaming liberal and a right-wing nut job by different sides of the political aisle in my comics career. So it's kind of funny.
All right, I guess we're off to Uel. Uel's the final member of the panel. Do you have a personal favorite Titans or Teen Titans story that you think needs to mention here for all timers?
Well, you did a real good job with with the Roundhouse or whatever his name was. Those issues are good. There's a lot of different Titan stories out there. I'm actually not hating some of the stuff I'm reading right now, but and there was also Static used to be on the team. That was pretty cool if you were a Static Shock fan. But you gotta read the Marv Wolfman, George Perez stuff if you haven't read it. You got the Judas Contract, but what it's good about that is you didn't know you were reading the Judas Contract when it came out. You were just reading the story. And just like Aaron was saying, there's subplots and there's stories and they end and, little quick hitters and stuff that Eric was talking about, the Adrian Chase. He's the DA when they're trying to bust Brother Blood. And so that's how we get to know the character who eventually becomes the vigilante. And there was just a lot of stuff like that in that run. If you just want one story, you got to go Day in the Life, though. Just after the whole first 6 issues, the Titans get together, they fight Trigon, they go to like another dimension and all this other stuff. They just have like an unwind day where you get to see what all the Titans are doing. And maybe possibly if that was the #1 issue, we would have been slamming it today. Because nothing happened except everything happened.
Isn't that where we met Terry, though?
Yeah, we do. So there was a little violence.
Yeah, that's just...
Cyborg's got to, pump up his chest and be awesome. But, oh, wait, or do you mean Terry?
Is in Donna's future husband.
That's right. Yeah. No, I was thinking of the woman also. No, he goes and hangs out with his dad. I'm sorry. That's what he does. In that one.
If Donna's husband Terry ever had a crossover with Paul from Spider-Man.
Ooh. Yeah, but I don't know if Zeb Wells' Paul is Zeb Wells, but wasn't Terry Marv Wolfman, right?
Terry has better hair.
Ugh, I don't know.
Remember that hair? It was terrible. It was so bad.
One
it was
of
the
the
William
worst.
Cat type fro kind of deal.
Don't read Titans when Danny Chase is the character. That's the most important thing. We're talking about unlikable characters that never get better. That's Danny Chase. And I will not hear word one about him being a good character at any time. He's no good. So stay away from those Titans.
We do have Jose the Beast chiming in, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. I like Dan Abnett's Titans first 7 issues, especially when Wally was approached by Superman. The Lazarus contract had Slade get the Speed Force. And Dan Abnett's Titans with, I think, Brett Booth on art is absolutely fantastic, and it sucks that it didn't last longer.
Yeah, that's a book that needed to, that had that had all the potential in the world, and they just. But what weren't they doing 2 Titans books?
There was a Titans book and a Teen Titans book.
Yeah, and I think that kind of cannibalized the audience.
But the Titans book was more like Wally returning to the DC universe, and it was a lot of important stuff. I'm sorry,
you the Devin Grayson Titans. Oh, horrible.
You didn't like the Devin Grayson stuff?
That's the reason to hate Mark Waid, just to let you know.
This is true. Yes. Oh, so definitely second that from Jose to Beast. That was a really cool time. It's unfortunate it didn't last longer, but they were doing really important stuff in there. Carlitos Figueroa, it's an unpopular opinion, but I like Titans Burning Rage by Dan Jurgens. It was short and not the best, but it was fun, self-contained series. I have not read that one. Have you read that one, Breen? What do you know about Burning Rage?
I probably have, but a lot of comics have gone into this.
Well, you're pulling up names from like the fucking 30s, man. Like,
yeah, those are probably cells that weren't impacted by heavy drinking.
So I haven't read Titans Burning Rage. Sounds like most of the people on here haven't. The only chance that we have someone that did was Jim. Did you read it?
One there? No, I did not.
All right. Should we check it out?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah. If people say it's bad, it's Dan Jurgens. I imagine it's actually probably pretty good. Even bad Jurgens is pretty good. It's like pizza.
That is true.
Guys,
like
I'm gonna
the worst slice of pizza
deep dish. No deep dish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bail out. My internet is having problems because of the extreme heat. Apparently, there's been like an
the heat of your takes.
Yes, that's right. Right after I came in with that hot Titans, that hot Titans take. They had to take me down. So
do you
thanks
have
to
a
the
pick
chat
of the week?
Do you have a pick?
Yes, go check out our friend David Hedgecock's Kickstarter, Miss Mina. Go check that out. It's a really cool looking book. It's drawn by the Zhang brothers. It looks beautiful, and it's got a lot of attractive women in it. So if you like aesthetics, if you like beauty, and you like a fun story, go check that out.
All right. Well, Aaron, put some ice on your nipples, cool off a little bit, and
I'll do what I can, Wes. All right. I'll see you guys later.
See ya.
I think
we
you're supposed to do it on the extremities.
Put it down your pants. Mr. DC Comics says Superman versus Doomsday was epic because Superman had to struggle to win. What other villain that you all like that could give Superman a tough battle? It's physically tough to hang with Superman. You almost need another Kryptonian or a character like a Doomsday. But I certainly think like Superman Prime is up there for me, but I still love Cyborg Superman. He's the best.
Yeah.
I dig him.
Yeah, I love him too, but the tough battle was tough.
Last week.
I honestly really enjoyed seeing him go up against Majestic that one time when they did fight.
What do you think, Jim? Can Reverse Flash give Superman a run for his money?
No. No.
Captain Cold?
No Flash. No.
Those
Gorilla
villains.
Grodd?
No, those villains hang in Central City with Flash because he's nice and doesn't, punch right through them. Superman would just he wouldn't.
Gorilla Grodd would have to psionically do something.
Exactly.
He couldn't physically. There's no.
I mean, that's the thing. If you're going to go with the tough battle, you're going to have to go with magic first, and then kind of work your way with that. That's kind of the play.
What about Trigon?
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
Magic
that'd be pretty good.
Gods are pretty tough to beat, I would assume, or godlike.
Yeah, but Superman needs more physical like opponents, though. Not everything.
Yeah,
has to be kind of like little. Like you need to create something like Doomsday again that could actually be a force, and see the impacts. I think it makes Superman more exciting.
I think what really could defeat Superman is an emo haircut. Is what will
is the floppy hair.
The floppy hair will defeat him in the end. Well,
nobody likes me as he's looking in the mirror, but looking away.
Always pushing that hair over. The night is darkness. He's just writing in a notebook.
Very nice. Let's get to some comic book recommendations. Breen, so happy to have you back. We certainly missed you. I'm glad you were able to make it this week. Are there any books that you think everybody out there should be paying attention to or reading?
Well, I mentioned a few at the beginning of the show, but for my recommendation, I'm actually going to go with the one of two Marvel books actually I'm reading, and that's Get Fury. Because you have the two characters that Marvel can't seem to sweep far enough under the rug, and somebody must have fallen asleep at the switch and actually let Garth Ennis write both of them, well. So I definitely check that out.
This week was fantastic. The moment in the back seat of the car, unexpected.
I haven't read it yet. But...
Elbow deep.
Oh, well, you got something. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to.
No, that's it. I don't mind spoilers.
You're gonna like that moment. It's pretty wild.
It's crazy.
And thank you very much, Breen. Are you going to be making any appearances this week that people should be looking out on the YouTubes? I know that you do make some rounds and you have some regular shows that you do.
Yeah, pretty much every night other than Saturdays, which is the auction. We've been doing something on I Love Comics where we take a title or an era and we put up anywhere from 12 to 15 covers, and we in the chat ranks them from 1 to 10. And I've seen a couple of people like Jose. He's been to some of them. They're a blast because like last night we did Space Family Robinson, the old Gold Key series. They were all painted covers, and you get a lot of interesting takes from people on that. And we've done we've had 3 books get perfect 10s. Everybody, Crisis #7, Tomb of Dracula #1 for some reason. And I can't remember the third, but I would recommend checking those out if you like to see, great covers and great conversation about them, because it really is a lot of fun. We do it at 10:30, pretty much every night.
But that's every night.
For now, we've been doing it for a couple months now, every night, and we might start scaling back. But yeah, I said, it's more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. You can get more Breen in your life, and we certainly like Englentine. He's a good guy. He's been around for a long time. So definitely support those guys. Who else we got here? We got Uel Carter, the proprietor of Fantastic Comics, not just the YouTube channel, but the comic shop in Berkeley, California. What books really stood out to you? Because I thought this was a really strong indie week once again.
I haven't read Minor Arcana, which I assume is going to be okay because Jeff Lemire is writing it. And if you'll enjoy his art, it's out there. I was I don't know. I've been reading things that have been coming out the week ahead of time sometimes recently. So I haven't really been enjoying a whole lot afterwards. And I'm looking back on everything I read this week. And funny enough, Plastic Man is the one I like the most.
Surprisingly good. Far better than I ever anticipated it would be. In the Alex Lynn's art absolutely suits the story. That
guy's great. I really do like him a lot. And they have a guy who's doing, or somebody else who's doing art when the perception of Plastic Man is played out with the other superheroes. And I feel like it's not really like, I know that some people will probably say, oh, they're doing Plastic Man dirty. But how many people really care about Plastic Man? And I feel that it's that perspective that we're getting this story just a bit. Plus, Plastic Man is trying to make up with his son, which has been a theme in the past. And I think overall, it's the best superhero book this week. And then Conan, Battle of Blackstone, I have not read either yet. But Jim Zub's writing it, and it travels from the Savage Sword of Conan that came out. So you should definitely check that out if you haven't yet. Sorry to recommend something I haven't read.
Well, you should also recommend The Boy Wonder #5 then.
That's right. Well, great art. And it sold out, so Well,
I'm glad it did. I'm glad it ended up finding an audience. I still think they should have put it out as a YA graphic novel, but that's neither here nor there, though. Although my only problem with Plastic Man is he'd already reconciled with his family, but it is Black Label, so I guess it's out of continuity. They're just ignoring that portion of it. But
I think that's the way it goes. Yeah, they're ramping it up a little bit. Put a little Tom King stank on it.
A little bit. Chris Cantwell was the Tom King of Marvel there for a while.
Yeah, sure.
But it certainly turned out far better than I anticipated. Anything going on the YouTube channel or anything going on in the shop that people need to know about?
Actually, the shop's doing surprisingly well. No, I've taken steps to secure the store, and when I hear all these sales numbers and how people are having problems selling new comics, I just don't understand how that's the case. You have a pull list, and if you like the comics that are coming out, or you know people that do, you just kind of order accordingly. And you sometimes have to come up with different ways to make some money, but overall it's just selling yourself and trying to move some comic books. It's not hard, but if you don't have the clientele for it, I guess it would be. But
you'll starting
I'm doing well.
Starting an OnlyFans does not count.
Well, I do have a Patreon just like Wes, but I don't do anything just like unlike Wes. So if you want to give money to me for no reason, sometimes I might interview somebody and put it on there. But yeah,
I do a lot of stuff to
comics.
Patreon. I like it. My workload doubled because of that thing.
Yeah, I can't keep up as a fan.
There's a lot of stuff.
Well, how am I supposed to watch this and guitar videos? Impossible.
Absolutely, but it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I like the longer form conversations that are a little bit easier to do, where you're not constricted by a single subject or a time frame. So it's more fun, especially with Jim. It turns out Jim and I are like two peas in a pod.
That's not.
We're spoiled and we're rotting, but
yes, we are.
We're there.
We're there.
Like that shriveled nut.
Yes.
Wes is realizing how at one point I had a 12-hour weekly podcast because I don't shut up. So that's what happens.
No, Jim, you and I play off together perfectly. Do you have any books you want to recommend?
Yeah. Rook Exodus, number 5, was really good. Flash Gordon, number 2. Prairie Gods, which number 1, which Wes has been touting for weeks now because I accidentally sent him a pre-release review copy and didn't tell him. Conan Black, Battle of Blackstone, number 1 was really good, and Get Fury, number 5, which is my favorite Marvel book right now. And by the way, Breen, don't eat while you're reading this issue. That's the deal. It's so over the top. So over the top.
Cool.
But good.
Uel, did you see the cover for Rook Exodus number 5?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
The one that came out
up there is like a scarecrow.
Yeah,
he's got the crows eating him. Oh, it's good. It was a fantastic cover. All right, Jim. Anything people should be looking out from Sus Records or Weird Science Comics or the podcast or the Patreon?
More songs from Sus Records. I was working on one that's one of the teen tragedy songs from the past that involves a guy with autoerotic asphyxiation. No, not like that. You'll see. And also Best of. I'll have that with Gray that joins me on the comics channel, and then I'll try to do some more there. But who knows?
Are you going to do a diss track on your neighbor?
Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do that. But yeah, the bills are paid by Dirty Songs, and then the comics come second. It seems, but that's fine.
But if you always want more Jim, you can't go to Think Critical Patreon. And Jim and I do it's supposed to be a 2-hour podcast, but we've never actually done it in 2 hours. Yeah.
It's become a 2.5 to 3 hour podcast. So.
More like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah.
Closer to it.
Yep, exactly.
That's the way it goes. But definitely, be supporting Jim. Really appreciate all that stuff. And finally, we do have Doc. Probably not going to recommend Exceptional X-Men this week, I imagine. But you and I also have a podcast together, the Q&A. And that was also supposed to be 2 hours, but also goes closer to 3.
Yeah.
We can't stop.
Yeah, we can't shut the fuck up. And we've been getting so many more questions recently, and I love it. Sometimes it almost feels like we have to. No, we don't rush through any of them, but we definitely don't have to.
We have to stay on point.
We do. We have to stay on topic in order to get through everything, and I love it. It helps me. It helps Wes try to wrangle me
rain dogging, and yes,
yeah. But no, I am not recommending Exceptional X-Men. Instead, we will go with first. I found it at Ollie's. It's Sean Connery. I just needed a Sean Connery. Yes, Henry Jones Sr.
3 3/4.
Old's name was Indiana.
Yeah, The dog's name was Indiana. But yeah,
I love the moment when she's like sweet talking and he thinks it's him, and obviously Indiana thinks it's him because she's slept with them both.
Yeah,
that's good.
So, but yeah, I got it for like $3, so it was definitely worth it.
Score.
Then
Ooh.
This is a fun series. It was 18 issues. It was from Cliffhanger, which was an offshoot of Wildstorm. It was their more artist-centric, where a lot of their artists could kind of... This was the second one done by Humberto Ramos after Crimson, which lasted for 30-some issues. This one...
Do you have any of those figures?
The Crimson figures? No, yeah, I do not. Although I did recently buy the 3-pack, the old vintage 3-pack of the Danger Girl ones.
Oh, that's cool.
And I already had a oh god, what the fuck's his name? The giant Nazi guy. Major something or other.
Oh yeah.
But this is this is actually a really fun, cool series. This town gets overrun by demons basically, and it's a bunch of teenagers that have to find out what happened and how to undo it. So it's only 18 issues. It was called Out There, and this is issue 1. As you can see, like, the art is really good on it. I mean, it's Humberto Ramos before he got, I guess, as polished as he is now, but he was still very, very talented. Then we got to go with instead of Absolute Batman. Fuck that. Go back and buy the goddamn Batman.
It doesn't finish.
Yeah, I know. But you
want to make some money. They should get Jim Lee to draw the last 2 fucking issues.
Yeah, because it got 10 issues?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Who's later than Quietly? You know what I mean?
I know. Because Quietly finishes well, although you can also say Adam Hughes never even did his the All-Star Wonder Woman that was supposed to come out. So, but yeah, the goddamn Batman and Crazy Steve. Then we will go with Amazing Spider-Man 301. Obviously, homage to the Amazing Spider-Man 300 cover, the black cover on 300, the classic costume when he returns to it in 301. Really, I love this cover. Everyone's done an homage, but Todd is the only person to homage his own cover literally an issue later. So, and then finally, if you're loving what Warren or what Garth Ennis is doing with Get Fury now, if you want another, this is a Cold War Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, but Garth Ennis, Jason Burrows, the 303. It was only 6 issues. It was done by Avatar. It was really, really well done. Great art, great story. Just a really fucking cool comic. So if you want a war comic and you want, honestly, there's a lot of older Garth stuff that can, scratch that itch, but this one is probably one of my favorite. So those are my suggestions for this week.
Well, very nice. Normally I save my recommendations until we do best of the week with Drew here in a few hours, but I do want to point this out. This is cool. I'm actually gonna have to take my earbuds out so I can't hear anything. But look what somebody sent me. They sent me the David Mazzucchelli's Batman Year One Artist Edition book. It's bigger than my children, or at least my youngest one. It's absolutely enormous. It's got all the original art, like from the size and scale of when it was created by David Mazzucchelli himself. I'm absolutely floored that anyone sent this to me. It was a super duper nice gift. And apparently we had helped them get through some hard times and they wanted to show their appreciation. But this thing is absolutely magnificent. Here's the problem, Uel. I don't want to take the wrapper off of it because I think my kids will take a page out and try to make it into a paper plane or something.
Well, that'd be a big plane. Just make sure there's
It
always
would be.
extra scrap paper around it.
Okay.
Put it on top of one of your shelves for a little while, but I would definitely open it up because
I want to, but I
seeing
don't
his
want to.
work, I mean, they do great coloring in Batman Year One. It's just everything looks great, but you're gonna see the originals and the way it looked, and you're gonna see like the slight differences and things. It will be definitely worth it. I have artist editions, Spider-Mans that I have, and I don't look at them enough. And you're gonna have it all there, right there for you. So I would recommend.
Yeah, Batman Year One is my favorite Batman story of all time.
It's great.
Mazzucchelli and Frank Miller, maybe the best creative duo of all time, pound for pound.
Mazzucchelli, I always like anytime I'm talking about artists in comic books and you get to Mazzucchelli, the thing that floors me is that he used to do a monthly comic book. And it's like you're never gonna see that again. And we're hardly gonna see real artists out there that do monthly comic books. You know, I could think of a few are out there, but they hardly have the consistency, you know.
Yeah. So an enormous thank you very much to Jackson Forever for supporting the channel and certainly for this very generous gift. I treasure it immensely, and it's so beautiful. I almost don't want to open it. That's how nice it looks. So very, very cool stuff. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. This is the first weekend of NFL football. We've already had a couple of games, but it should be fun. We got everyone else kicking off this weekend, and we'll be back next Saturday. I think that's what it is. It's